include Senzo Mchunu, Deputy National Commissioner Shadrack Sibia, and IDEC head Anthea Johnson. Committee Content Advisor Christine Silkstone reminded the committee that it is not a court of law or a prosecuting body before tabling the findings.
Minister Mkhunu, the report finds executive accountability unresolved integrity concerns, but does not find a proven corrupt agreement or cartel instruction. Around Lieutenant Severe, the report finds serious unresolved issues and makes referrals, but does not find that he acted for Mr. McLeod, Mr. Mkhotsi, or an organized crime network.
Committee members from most parties called the report watered down and ignored most of their recommendations. The report is expected to go through further amendments before a final draft is handed to the Speaker. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News.
The Investigative Directorate Against Corruption has 2 pending court cases in which tainted crime intelligence top cop Feroz Khan is a state witness. IDEC senior investigator Brian Padiachi has told the Madlanga Commission today that he has a strictly professional relationship with Khan. It follows allegations of an improper relationship between Khan and senior IDEC officials. One of the allegations is that IDEC officials linked Khan a docket of a complaint against him laid by another officer. Padiachi says he once worked with Khan at Crime Intelligence but denies ever leaking or disclosing any confidential information to him once he joined IDEC.
I had strictly an official working relationship with him. General Khan is also a state witness in 2 of the IDEC investigations that are pending before the Magistrates Court. I am the investigating officer in both these criminal cases.
Padiachi says recent revelations about Khan have changed his perception about him.
I must say on this part, Chair, Commissioners, the General Khan that I know and that I worked with during this particular time is not the General Khan that I see now with what is appearing before the Commission. I had my reservations during my time at Crime Intelligence on senior officers there, but it was not to the extent of what is seen now.
Former Police Minister Bheki Cele maintains it makes no sense for government to fund the legal fees of former apartheid police officers facing prosecution for racial crimes. Cele is testifying before the commission, which has been investigating allegations that the prosecution of some cases referred by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission were deliberately stalled. During Cele's tenure as police minister, former apartheid security branch officers wanted government to pay for the illegal costs for crimes committed before 1994. Cele initially refused. Alpha Ramushwana has more.
Former Police Minister Bheki Cele began his testimony by outlining his history in the struggle against apartheid and recounting his own brutal encounters with security branch police officers. Cele says he harbors deep resentment towards apartheid police, whom he blamed for the torture and murder of some of his comrades. He says this is one of the reasons he strongly opposed the post-1994 government funding the legal fees of former apartheid police officers who had been referred for investigation and prosecution by the TRC.
How could government be obliged to fund through taxpayers' money, including taxes paid by the very people that were victims, black people, the litigation cost of those who committed crimes against humanity?
At the time, a court order had directed post-1994 police to fund the legal cost of former apartheid police officers on the basis that SAPS is the legal successor to the apartheid-era police force. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
South Africa is ramping up preparedness as health authorities closely monitor an Ebola outbreak which has hit the DRC and Uganda. Although there are no confirmed cases in South Africa, Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says the country is not taking any chances. Ebola is a highly infectious viral fever that spreads through direct contact with the bodily fluids of an infected person. The current outbreak has resulted in approximately 700 deaths from over 1,900 reported cases. Motsoaledi says government is strengthening screening at ports of entry, training healthcare workers and designating facilities to ensure any suspected cases can be detected and isolated quickly.
So we have actually chosen hospitals. We have got 12 private hospitals chosen in the country, and we've got 24 public hospitals where the workers are being trained, starting with the security people at the gate.
And in Australia, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says the federal government will be creating an artificial intelligence office. This as the country seeks to shore up investor certainty and maintain community confidence in the rapidly advancing technology. According to reports, AI will design AI standards and coordinate cross-government work. If successful, Australia will be the first country in the world to bring the economic, social, national security and environmental issues stemming from AI into a single national framework. Gold is trading at $4,087.41 an ounce. The rand is at 16.36 to the dollar, 21.96 to the pound, 18.73 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $86.52 a barrel.
Roodepoort heading into Kagiso Ratong area. There's slow-moving traffic due to roadworks on Randfontein Road between Collet and Adcock. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in four ways at Winnie Mandela Drive and Monte Cassino Boulevard.
In your sports, the junior Springboks beat England to advance to World Rugby's Under-20 Championship final. Dewey Lake a doubt for Springbok test due to a groin injury. And Stellenbosch complete the signing of George Matlow.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 19 and 20 degrees. The top story in EWN: no evidence linking Police Minister Senzo Mchunu to criminal networks has been found by Parliament's ad hoc committee probing allegations of corruption.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
On Sunday, 26 July, 7:02 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk unites us all in the iconic Joburg CBD.
7:02
Walk the Talk. Abize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 7:02.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon to you. It's 9 minutes past 3 on Tuesday, the 14th of July. This is 7:02 Drive with me, John Perlman. Welcome to the show. Tomorrow is a big day for President Cyril Ramaphosa. It's a big day for our national parliament. Arguably, it's a big day for our country as well.
I will be attending the interdict hearing at the Western Cape High Court. The interdict was brought by President Cyril Ramaphosa and seeks to interdict the work of the impeachment committee. And as a committee and myself as a second respondent, we have opposed this application because we believe that the work of the committee need to continue.
So much turns, I think it's fair to say, on everything to do with Phala Phala. That was Makashule Ghana, Rise Mzansi MP and chair of the Parliamentary Committee, looking into this matter. The Western Cape High Court begins a two-day hearing tomorrow, looking at the President's bid to interdict the committee's work, as you heard Mr. Ghana say a moment ago. More details on that after 5 as we look at what questions the court might ask, what answers they'll be looking to find. Transnet has announced major steps to safeguard rail infrastructure as the entity seems to be doing better at getting goods from the hinterland of our country to the ports where it might be sent away for export and hopefully earning forex, protecting jobs and so on. The question we want to ask about this, though, the major steps all seem to be focused, and they include using drones, hiring guards, bringing dogs in to do certain kinds of traffic work. But can this work in a sustainable way if the syndicates that make millions and profit from the economic misery that they wreak are not in some way cracked down on and broken up? We'll explore that question after 4. It is, by the way, for me, a question bigger than just Transnet. We ask the same questions around illegal mining, for example. You can take certain steps, perhaps, to deal with symptoms, but cause? I wonder how well we're doing at that. We'll explore that, as I say, later in the show. I've been puzzled by something, the most recent version of this particular statistic in the UK. More than 2,700 people are recorded as having died from the heat wave that is hitting Europe in general, and it's hit the UK particularly hard over the last couple of weeks. Do we not have any deaths from heat wave and from the consequences of extreme heat in South Africa? Because we do have extreme heat. I wanted to understand that better. Is it that we don't record these deaths, we record them differently, or what? We'll find out details of that later in the show. World Cup semi-finals begin tonight. Spain take on France at 9 o'clock in Atlanta. We'll look ahead to those games. And I'm keen to get your predictions, by the way. Also keen to get your view. Are these the four best teams in the World Cup? Invariably, there's a surprise, but I think it's fair to say four very big names in global football have made it to the semis. So your predictions first, your thoughts on the semi-finalists, please. I gave mine in Rilebo Gile's show, prefaced by the fact that in our family predictor game, which I was dragged into by my grandson, I am one of the worst. One of the worst. I'm far, far behind the people at the top of the table who have shown absolutely no interest in football over the almost 20 years that I've known them. So there you go. But for what it's worth, Spain, France played to a draw. France win on penalties. England beat Argentina 2-1. That's what I'm expecting to happen. Speaking of the World Cup, one of the many wonderful things I've enjoyed about it is, first of all, I think it's been aesthetically beautiful. Those huge flags they have on the pitch and the colors of the countries on top of the coaches, their little booths or boxes or whatever you call them. I think they've got all of that absolutely spot on. But the one thing I've also, and I always enjoy about World Cups of any kind, is hearing so many different national anthems from different countries. Of course, the French tonight will be belting out an anthem that is really well suited to belting out, if you ask me. So that's France. I'll talk more about La Marseillaise a little bit later. And then there is the Spanish anthem. Now, there's something very interesting about that. I wonder if you've noticed it. Do you know why you never, ever, ever at any tournament see the Spanish players singing along? Do you know the answer to that particular question? I was puzzled by it a little while ago and did some reading, but I'd like to know what your take is. If you know why you never see the Spanish players singing along to their national anthem, drop me a note on that on 072 702 1702. And we'll make national anthems. The countries don't have to be at the World Cup. I'd like to know, what is your favorite national anthem other than our own? Drop me a note on that. Use the same number on 072 702 1702. On the markets, the oil price is once again shaping things, unfortunately, in a negative way. Brent crude up sharply today, $3.21 more expensive, with a barrel costing $86.43. I wonder if you can buy a single barrel. Probably not. Looking at the JSE, the all share is down by 870 points so far today. Pick and Pay weaker by 3.2%. Italtile has lost 2.5%. PSG down by 2.4%. On the upside, Tungela picking up after a difficult day yesterday, stronger by 3.9% so far on this Tuesday. Glencore has gained 2.5%. Exxaro is up by 1.8%. The rand is trading at 16 rand 36 against the dollar. Not much change from 24 hours ago. And similarly with the euro, that'll cost you 18 rand 72 and 21 rand 95 will get you a pound. Some good news for investors in gold. The gold price is up by $29.41 an ounce. Stephen Curtis joins us with all the market news at 4:25. We'll have sport with Tolakele Mganga. Karabo Chali is with us for the very latest traffic news, and Mbali Dlamini, who you heard a moment ago, back at 3:30 with the latest news headlines. This is 702 Drive. We are live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you'll get to hear about it here first. But if you've got something that we don't know, either an incident that we haven't heard about, a development that we simply have not been informed of, or it may just be that we're covering the story that needs covering, but we might be getting bits and pieces of it wrong or getting it entirely wrong. Either way, we love to hear from you. 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. It's 16 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
We were talking a little bit earlier about this. Are there things that you kind of think you should like, and they look great to do, and you sort of wish you liked them, but actually you've kind of realized that you don't really like them? It could be a thing, it could be a possession that other people prize or save money up to buy, or it could be an activity. I mean, I'll go first. I've often thought it looks great to ride horses. And I have ridden horses a few times, and maybe my very first ever ride didn't set me up in entirely the best way. I was on a farm. I was 12 years old in the Eastern Free State, which is very, very hilly. And I was with young men who had done lots of riding of horses, but they said, no. The best way to learn to ride is without a saddle. And we rode the whole day, and it was kind of painful. I walked in a different way, let's just say, when I got... And I've ridden since, and by the way, I had fun. I had great fun. I've ridden since, and each time I think, people I know love it. My family members absolutely love riding horses, but I have to conclude it's probably not going to happen. And they're probably quite relieved, by the way, because they can make much swifter progress without me tagging along. How about you, Rifui Letsoa has been putting the song together, has been putting the show together. I was thinking of anthems, putting the show together. Something that you've kind of thought, I ought to like this, ought to do this, ought to own this, ought to buy this, ought to save for this thing, and then you decided, actually, you know what? No, not going to.
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. That horse riding story sounds a little sore, but suppose if you had fun,
yes.
I'm happy, John. This one, John, I've tried a couple of times. So it's getting full body massages.
Yes.
I get the benefits of that, and I've tried it a couple of times, and I can't enjoy them. I think for me, it's the different people that will be touching you. Because, last week, John was my masseuse. This week, it's Karab. For me, because
Speaking hypothetically.
Yeah, hypothetically.
We don't have a side
No,
hustle.
hypothetically, so everyone knows.
Perlman and Charlie, Spa.
Oh, that sounds nice,
I
though.
don't think.
We can work on the title, but it does sound catchy.
Yeah.
So for me, John, it's like, so you touched me yesterday. This one is touching me now. And I think for me, because I'm not a very touchy person, so I always ask, can I remove that from your head? Do you mind if I do this? I know when you basically pay for a massage, you're giving consent. But for me, no. Nah. My body's even reacting a certain way. I can feel it. So, it looks fun. No thanks for now.
Yeah.
Maybe
okay.
I can get tips later on how to get over it.
No, I mean, there's something very nice about saying, well, this a lot of people like this. I'm probably meant to like it, but actually, I'm going to do something else with my time, money, and aspiration. Karabo Charlie, what's the thing that so many other people like? You think maybe you ought to like, but it's not catching yet.
So, my partner, you should see her when she's eating a full plate of seafood.
Yes.
With your mussels, your prawns and everything, and she'll just dig in there licking her fingers, and you can see she's enjoying it.
The only way to eat that stuff, yeah.
And I just don't get it. I really don't get seafood. Maybe it's because I'm allergic to it, but I just find it tasteless. I don't find anything exciting about seafood. I've tried it every time I eat sushi. I make sure that I have my bottle of Allergex. So I have my Allergex first, and then I try it. Yeah, it is a mission, and she enjoys it. And every time, maybe once in a while, I take her out to a seafood restaurant, and I'll just be sitting there, maybe with my kota chicken in there and eating, and then she's just eating her way out of that huge plate of different kind of seafoods. And I just don't get it. I just really don't get it. The other one, you wanted to say something, John?
No. Carry on.
The other one is golf. I just don't get golf.
But weren't you supposed to try golf with Jonathan?
Like
who
I
plays
say,
golf?
I'm thinking about it, but I don't think I'm going to enjoy it, because you hit a ball and then you walk for another mile and then you hit it. It's like, what are we doing here? There doesn't seem like there's no adrenaline, excitement, thrill. It just seems totally boring to me.
Okay, so he's not going to play golf. He's not going to eat seafood, which is not a problem because there's lots of other fish in the sea in terms of food, you know. Well, not quite. You know what I mean. And massage. Refuwe says, don't get it, not going to do it, not going to spend money on that. And mine is riding horses. Nothing against horses or people who ride them, but after trying it a few times and thinking I really ought to like this, because you can go wonderful places on horseback, but I guess I'm going to just have to walk. Hope you don't have to walk in the traffic, because it's, it would be quicker than driving at the moment. Things are looking okay, but Karabo Chale will set us up on that. Good afternoon.
Afternoon once again, John. Well, at this stage, I must say things not looking too bad, but hey, it is afternoon peak hour traffic, so expect some delays already if you are heading into Kagiso Leratong area. That's in Rudeport on Randfontein Road between Corlett and Adcock due to roadworks. There's also slow-moving traffic that's leaving the Sandton area. This is on Catherine Street between Rivonia Road and Greyston Drive. Also look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenville at Morafontein Road and Van Riebeck. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Kabelo, when I read this Daily Maverick piece, I did see that you indicated to them that by the time you posed these questions, you had been a member of Parliament's Justice Committee. Was there a discrepancy there, or did you unintentionally not tell the truth?
No, I don't think it's a discrepancy. So, as I say, I started it as a member of the Justice Committee. I was, in fact, given permission if I wanted to run with it, but I decided to focus on my portfolio. So, yeah, beyond the duration of my stay on justice, I did continue for a while.
Kabelo Kobisa Ngaba is the Member of Parliament for the Democratic Alliance.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Johannesburg is calling. Join thousands of Joburgers on Sunday, 26 July for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk in proud partnership with Standard Bank. Experience the energy and spirit of the City of Gold as you walk through the historic streets of Joburg CBD, celebrating a city on the rise. As an iconic brand deeply connected to Johannesburg, Standard Bank invites you to be part of a movement that's bringing communities together and showcasing the best of Josie. Starting and finishing at Ellis Park, this is more than a walk. It's a celebration of our city and its growth journey. The 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials. It's the flavor! Real reviews by real people. Dolly from Boertersig is vegetarian-ish, with a reputation to uphold. Here's what she whispered about the half chicken and a single side for $1.25.
What? I don't eat chicken, but for Nando's, I make the exception.
Well, good thing there's a salad on the side for appearances. Of course. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
This Tuesday, July 14, you could win an estimated 29 million rand total Powerball jackpot. That's a mega 18 million for Powerball and 11 million for Powerball Extra. Catch the live draw this Tuesday at 9 p.m. on ETV and SABC. You could become SA's next multi-millionaire. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions.
Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakaya.
On Sunday, 26 July, the entire city unites for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk.
Walk the talk.
And because Joburg is more than just a city, we'll be walking for the people. So join us and help make a difference to homelessness in the city by entering on primemediaplus.com and donating vouchers.
Donate the voucher.
Which is a cashless way to give, helping people experiencing homelessness access a hot shower, a meal, a bed, or more support. Anybody can join and everybody can donate. 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter and donate now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, 27 minutes past 3. Let's go straight to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. The Independent Directorate Against Corruption is very much still in the spotlight, despite yesterday's no-show of the person who heads that entity, Advocate Andrea Johnson. Also in the spotlight, IDAC's relationship with Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. That has been in the news a couple of weeks back, 10 days ago or so back, if I'm not mistaken, with some very public clashes between the General on the one hand and IDAC on the other. So what's come out today? Thabiso Gorba, good afternoon to you, EWN reporter. I mean, whenever I listened, I kept hearing references to Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. I don't know if that's still going on, but clearly he was a present figure in the conversation, even if he wasn't at the commission. What's come out for you of significance? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. I think you've laid it out perfectly about the public spats between IDAC and the SAPS. So remember that these are supposed to be entities that are supposed to be working together, so obviously puts criminals behind bars. But it seems that these two entities are obviously squabbling, and those internal factions have long spilled over into the public arena. Now, one of the interesting things that came out today, John, is that you remember that in last year, June, the head of crime intelligence, Mr. Dumsani Khumalo, was arrested on charges of fraud and corruption. The charges related to the fact that there was an inexperienced 33-year-old lady who was appointed to a senior technical role within the crime intelligence, and she was given the rank of brigadier. This was despite the fact that she had no qualification, she had no policing experience, and that's obviously before she was hired by crime intelligence, she was a civilian. So Mr. Khumalo and several other crime intelligence officers were arrested. That matter is still currently in courts. It still hasn't been resolved. But one of the interesting things that came from that is that the person who laid that complaint or who blew the whistle on what happened there was the National Coloured Congress MP, Mr. Fadil Adams. So he's the one who laid that complaint. And it's interesting, John, because you know that Mr. Fadil Adams has been very, very much outspoken about Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, and about Dumsani Khumalo. So it was interesting to find out today that he's the one who laid that complaint. But also we know that a couple of months ago that Mr. Fadil Adams was also arrested on other charges of fraud and defeating the ends of justice. So this back and forth between, people from IDAC arresting SAPS and people from SAPS seemingly arresting IDAC whistleblowers, it's just one of those examples of the factions between IDAC and the SAPS. But what has been now at the center of Mr. Brian Padayachi's testimony here at the Madlanga Commission is how relevant were that complaints from Mr. Fadil Adams that IDAC took it upon himself to investigate those claims and eventually end up arresting the crime intelligence boss, Mr. Dumsani Khumalo, and several other intelligence officers.
Intricate, complicated, always interesting and perennially important. Whatever comes up at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, you may not know it at the time, but each adding little small layers to what we already know and questions that still need to be asked. Thank you, Thabiso Gorba, EWN reporter, coming to us from the Bridget Mabandla Justice College, where the Madlanga Commission remains in session, as it will for a good many months yet. 702 Drive, 29 minutes to 4. Bali Dlamini is with us with the very latest eyewitness news. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. A very good afternoon to you. The state has accused convicted Czech fugitive Radovan Krejča of being responsible for the delays he is currently complaining about in his long-running criminal case. Krejča has brought an application asking the court to strike the matter from the roll. He argues that delays since 2016 have prejudiced his right to a fair trial. Krejča is currently serving a 35-year sentence at the Hoshimamburu prison for murder and attempted murder, Dimakatso Leshoro reports.
After delays at the start of proceedings, the court directed Krejča to take the witness stand to support his Section 342A application under the Criminal Procedure Act, which empowers a court to address unreasonable delays in criminal matters. Krejča produced a bag filled with medical records which he claims show he's medically unfit to stand trial. He told the court he requires surgery, needs access to a neurologist, and remains in poor health. Krejča further claimed he has been severely prejudiced because the Department of Correctional Services has failed to comply with court orders directing that he be provided with, among other things, an orthopedic mattress. He argues that these alleged failures have left him unfit to stand trial and have directly contributed to the delays he's now asking the court to remedy. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News, the Palm Ridge Court.
The City of Cape Town says it aims to alleviate traffic congestion in and around the CBD by reconstructing the unfinished foreshore freeway bridges that have stood incomplete for decades. Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis says the city is making progress behind the scenes on the long-awaited project and plans to publish initial proposals for public comment in September. But the Township Development Council has questioned the plans, saying the money can be better spent on service delivery. Carlo Peterson has more.
After more than 50 years, plans are underway to reconstruct two unfinished bridges in Cape Town CBD. Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis says its plans will go out for public comment in 2 months' time.
The unfinished bridges that we all grew up with as Cape Townians, we are planning to actually get them finished over the years ahead. Later this year, in around September, we will release for public comment some initial designs.
But Township Development Council Chairperson Ndodana Adebe says the project may not be the best way for the city to spend money.
Many communities are facing serious challenges, including unemployment, housing shortages, safety concerns, and lack of basic services.
The mayor says funding for the project will likely be sourced from the private sector. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And in the DRC, the World Health Organization says the Ebola outbreak could be 4 times bigger than official figures. Official numbers currently indicate that this is already one of the largest outbreaks ever seen. AFP is reporting that more than 1,960 people have been infected and over 700 people have been killed since it was detected 2 months ago. The WHO says treatment capacity now exceeds 700 beds and continues to increase each week. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 19 and 20 degrees.
Roodepoort heading into Kagiso le Ratong. Slow-moving traffic due to roadworks on Randfontein Road between Collet and Adcock. Leaving Sandton, traffic sluggish on Catherine Street between Rivonia Road and Greyston Drive. Sunning Hill, we still have those roadworks slowing down traffic approaching the intersection of Rivonia Road and Witkoppen.
The top story in EWN. The state has accused convicted Czech fugitive Radovan Krejča of being responsible for the delays he is currently complaining about in his long-running criminal case.
What I love about this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is that it's taking people back into the Joburg CBD, and for people to be able to see the work that Josie My Josie has been doing, how they've been fixing up the city. I'm so excited for people to see that. You should take part in this year's Walk the Talk, because if you haven't been into the Joburg CBD in a long time because you're worried about safety, about crime, it's an incredible opportunity for you to go and see what's been happening in the Joburg CBD, what Josie My Josie has been doing, what the residents of Joburg have been doing. This year, I'm going to take part in the Walk the Talk because I can't wait to see the reaction of people when they go back to the Joburg CBD and to just feel that energy and feel the pulse of the city, and for people to return and for the city to be rejuvenated and for people to want to get involved in being part of that. To enter the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, go to primemediaplus.com. I'll see you on the streets.
Looking to save money on your business insurance? Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's Niku from the Gas Mart.
I was my previous insurer for 9 years before switching to Outsurance Business Insurance. I'm very happy with my premiums at the moment. I wish we switched sooner to Outsurance Business Insurance.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
Jozi is moving. People are showing up. Communities are stepping up. We see you, Jozi. Asambe. ABSA is proud to partner with 702 Walk the Talk on 26 July. Thousands will take to the streets of Jozi CBD and celebrate what makes this city iconic. Visit absa.co.za/702 Walk the Talk. ABSA is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
The 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk is calling on you to walk with the people for the people on Sunday, 26 July. Babize Bonke. And this year you can choose from 3 different inner city routes. The 5K Victoria Yards route takes you from Ellis Park through the inspirational Joburg Cricket Club into Victoria Yards and past the Troyville Hotel. You then finish off at Ellis Park again. So whether you're taking on the 5K, 8K or 15-kilometer route, enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good day, Tate John Casey from the south. Looking forward for a great show as usual. In terms of predictions, what I can say is that we won't have a repeat of last World Cup whereby France and Argentina made it to the finals. One of them or both of them won't make it to the finals. Firstly, Spain will frustrate France out because they play that kind of football that is dominated by ball position. So France won't have that much position and they won't be able to play those long balls behind the defenders. So I see Spain winning this one, closely contested. In terms of tomorrow's game, I wish England all of the best. I don't want to see Argentina in the finals. The less said, the better. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for those predictions, and please do keep them coming. We're getting loads and loads of feedback, by the way, from people on anthems that they absolutely like. So, the question we asked you a little bit earlier. I asked 2 questions, actually. I said, what is the national anthem that you really enjoy, apart from our own? We're not going to be playing that today because we're focusing on something a little bit different. Then I asked you, why don't you ever see the Spanish players singing the national anthem? And people rightly pointed out the Spanish national anthem doesn't have words. But there's a bit more to the story than that. So has anyone got an insight into why it doesn't have words? Because I'll give you a clue. It's not for want of trying. There have been more than one proposals for what should be the words of the Spanish national anthem. Anyone with an insight into that, please do share that with me on 072 702 1702. I asked you about things that everybody seems to like, or lots of people seem to like, and you think, well, I ought to like that too because it looks like the sort of thing that I ought to like. But in the end, you figure out, well, actually, I don't like that. So I asked you for if there was anything like that. Mine was horse riding. I can't say I hate it, but at this stage in my life, I've realized I'm not going to be riding horses, even though it looks wonderful. Simone says, and this will surprise many people, it's a braai for me. I just don't get it. Okay. If I made a list of 100 things people might come up with, I must say braaiing was not actually going to be with us. Joni says sip and paint. I don't know what that is. Do you know?
You have wine, and then you have a canvas, and you just paint whatever you want to paint, and while you're sipping your wine, and just have a moment to yourself.
Oh.
I wouldn't do it as well. Seems totally boring, because maybe I'm just not arty-farty like that.
Okay. Sip and paint, I didn't even know it existed. I didn't even know it was there, so I could decide whether I like it or not. But Joni has another one. Puzzles, I assume. Jigsaw puzzles or puzzles like Sudoku. let us know which of those two, if I think you mean jigsaw puzzles. Okay. Bongani says going to church. Okay, many people have made choices about that. And Young Skinny says lifting weights. Pierre says watching football. Well, you've had a lot of time saved over what has been, will have been a 104-game World Cup. 19 minutes now to 4 o'clock.
EWN Sport.
Right, let's find out what's happening in the world of sport. But Tolakele first, predictions. I've given mine. France on penalties, 1-1 at the end of extra time is my complete prediction. England 2, Argentina 1. What do you got?
I'll go 3-1 France within 120 minutes.
Okay.
And then I'll go 2-0 Argentina against England.
Okay, good. We got a nice mix, but you're going to start with rugby.
Absolutely, John. And the Junior Springboks have set a final showdown with France at the Under-20 World Championship after a 53-37 win over England in the semis. Kutatso Rasavanga grabbed a hat-trick as the defending champions ran in 7 tries, while coach Kevin Foote has praised their depth, having overturned a 2012 halftime deficit.
Amazing depth, like we've always said. You know, some guys like Tom only played the first game, you know, so it's a long wait, but he comes on, he does well. JT Orange has always had an impact off the bench. I think Liam and Rambo and Luan, all of them are doing a great job. But so other guys are starting. I think it's a physicality, but we're very, very talented. Very lucky to have the talent and the depth that we have. So when the guys come on, they really lift.
Wales captain Dewey Lake is in danger of missing the nation's championship fixture against the Springboks on Saturday with a groin injury. If he's ruled out, Jack Morgan would be expected to lead the Dragons for the final game of the season, while it'd be the first time Steve Tandy is without Lake, having picked the hooker to start all 11 tests since taking charge last year. Varasi Erasmus admits it's about managing his players' emotions as they begin to look ahead to rugby's greatest rivalry series against New Zealand.
Dave Rennie, I've coached against him when I coached Munster. He was coaching Glasgow. He's a coach that can get fire into players. He makes it physical. They make the breakdown tremendously hard to keep your ball. And they're playing a fast, high-paced game, which I think suits New Zealand really well. Now it's going to be as tough as it gets. And playing 4 matches against them, we're all excited about that.
Xabi Alonso has held his first press conference as Chelsea manager following his appointment at the end of the last season. Along with outlining his plans for the upcoming campaign, he's discussed the future of Alejandro Garnacho, who struggled to nail down a starting spot following his move from Manchester United.
Well, the situation that we have spoken with the sports directors, and there is an interest from him, from other clubs. So let's see how it develops. But hopefully it finishes in the best possible ways for all the parts.
Keeping with the Red Devils, they've signed goalkeeper Carl Darlow on a 2-year contract following the end of his deal with Leeds. He's the second signing to come through the doors at Old Trafford in 2 days. That follows the capture of Brazil international André Santos from Chelsea on a deal until June 2031. Domestically, Stellenbosch have signed midfielder George Mutlow on a long-term deal. That's after he was made a free agent after his release by Kaizer Chiefs. Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
16 minutes to 4. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Plumlink, your local plumbing store. Visit plumlink.co.za to find your nearest store. Karabo Charlie, our difficulties begin out west in Roodepoort. What's happening there?
Yeah, there's roadworks slowing down traffic, John. This is heading into the Leratong Kagiso area on Randfontein Road between Corlett and Adcock. Santon, there's also slow-moving traffic leaving the CBD on Catherine Street between Rivonia Road and Greyston, while in Sunninghill roadworks causing some delays. This is approaching the intersection of Rivonia Road and Witkoppen. Otherwise, generally, the rest of 702 land looking pretty good. Nothing hectic really to report on our highways. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights in 4 ways at Winnie Mandela Drive and Monte Casino Boulevard. Traffic lights still not working in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeck. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
South Africa, it's time to turn up the heat. Plumlink is bringing you the Mzansi warm-up with reduced prices on quick cart geysers. Choose from 100 and 150 litre geysers, reliable, powerful and built to keep your home piping hot this winter. With over 160 stores nationwide, there's a Plumlink near you. Get yours now for just $4,799, limited time only. Hot water, hot deals, don't miss out.
Plumlink, your local plumbing store.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So we asked you things that you kind of meant to like and you probably tried to like and you wonder maybe even a little bit why you don't like them, but then in the end decide that's actually, you know what, this is not for me. So far we've had golf, riding horses. What else? There's been a good few. Spoo says, I really struggle with chicken. Even worse, chicken wings. I had to at boarding school and varsity. Debbie says, being sociable, which is an interesting one. You know, not everybody is interested in being sociable. They like their own company. They like to keep it quiet in terms of the way they hang out with people. Yeah, Tolakele, a thing that Karabo Charlie's was seafood, by the way, and golf. How about you? A thing that you've kind of looked at and thought, got to get into that, wish I did like that, and then you make your peace with it and say, actually, you know what? Some people don't like swimming in the ocean, for example.
That is a little bit terrifying. Yeah. I will agree with Karabo about the seafood, but also for me, it's also because I know I'm allergic to prawns. So I just stay away from the whole shebang. I don't like go-karting or anything please, you said you don't like sip and paint. I did my judging the other side. I don't like go-karting or any sort of weird ring around the roses car activities. It's not for me. Remember the time we went to Sun City for the team building thing? Did not enjoy it at all because I was put in that group rather than the water activity group. West hour of the whole
You weren't
team
allowed
building.
to choose.
No, they'd already divided who's going to go where at the time. It was very disappointing.
Well, add that to your list. Team builds where you don't have some choice. Like the paintball one I went to, but I've spoken about that before, probably at great length. I'm pretty sure nobody is going to take me to paintball anytime soon. One more from you.
Good day, John. Lovely show as always. Thank you. Mine would be false nails. It feels like claws. And the other one would be the eyelashes. I don't know, it looks like birdie stuff. Those are the two things that I love it to see other ladies have it, but no, thank you.
Yeah, please do keep those coming. We're coming up with a wonderful mix of product and experience and food tasting things. And yeah, good. I'd like to hear from you as well, though. I haven't heard yours yet. So please send it 072 702 1702. It's 11 minutes to 4.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Time now to try and understand a little better something that I must admit I don't fully understand exactly what's going on. And but anyway, let me set out the problem rather than giving it to you in the general. Let me be specific. So heat waves in the United Kingdom in June and in May, the month before it, killed about 2,700 people in England and Wales. This is data covered in the newspaper The Guardian, but also elsewhere as well, the extreme heat leading to 440 deaths a day. Now, I've got a couple of questions, and I'm going to put them to Professor Francois Engelbrecht, who is our guest. He's Professor of Climatology at Wits University and Director as well of the Wits Global Change Center. Prof, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time today. We appreciate it. I called it the Wits Global Change Center. It's actually the Wits Global Change Institute. That tidied up. Prof, I mean, deaths from heat waves. My understanding, and maybe it's not understanding, let me rather use the word impression, in South Africa is this is never something we speak about in South Africa, despite the fact that we have extreme heat in this country. I don't know if we don't record those deaths or they're recorded as something else, but why is this not a conversation in our country? Good afternoon.
Yes, afternoon, John. Thank you for the invitation. We certainly should speak more about heat waves and oppressive temperatures in South Africa as well. And in fact, we do from time to time. If you think back about the big El Nino event of 2015-16, that specific summer brought record-breaking heat waves to South Africa. And we saw, of course, impacts firstly in agriculture. The maize crop that season was about 40% less than the previous season. We had these tens of thousands of cattle that died in South Africa and then even worse into Botswana because of heat. Now, we didn't have good excess death statistics available for people at the time.
Okay.
But we've developed this in South Africa during the COVID-19 years, of course. And now we are perfectly capable, I think, today of measuring the effects that heat waves have on human mortality in South Africa. Let me just mention one important example that many listeners may remember. Back in January 2023, we had a widely reported incident in South Africa when we had a huge tragedy in the Northern Cape, when 7 farm workers died on a single day, right at the end of an 11-day heat wave. And that was widely reported. And I think since then, there has been a bigger focus on trying to get a grip on what heat waves are doing in South Africa by using excess death statistics. So I know that this type of research is gaining ground in South Africa.
So tell me this, Prof. When and there may not be a single cause, but is there a pattern when it's established or certainly put forward that somebody has died as a result of excessive and presumably prolonged heat? What in general, what are they dying from?
Yes, so that I think that's the crux of the matter. So it works like this. Firstly, we get a grip on the number of people that are dying during heat waves by using these excess death statistics. So the important example right now that is intensively being discussed is that during the June heat waves in Europe, it's now estimated that about 20,000 people died prematurely. So that doesn't mean, of course, that it got too hot and they simply died because of that. You also won't find on the death certificate that the heat waves kill these people.
Right.
What happens is when our bodies are subjected to oppressive temperatures, we start sweating, of course, and you start to breathe faster. Your heart rate increases. So your heart really needs to work harder to keep your body cool.
Okay.
And then at the same time, there's often dehydration taking place. So when people die during times of oppressive temperatures, it's usually because of cardiovascular issues, respiratory issues, renal disease. It's usually people with some comorbidities that die during these periods of excessive temperature. So they would not have died if the temperatures did not rise that much and did not bring this much stress to their bodies.
Is there anything in what I must admit was my supposition that, people in Europe are less used to extreme heat over prolonged periods. Your point is a very interesting one about the comorbidities. But I mean, just on a very simplistic level, I have a relative who grew up in Canada who, when he sees how I'm dressed for a day that he considers to be warm, we just acknowledge that we're used to different things. Does this hit areas like, for example, continental Europe and the UK much harder because people are simply just not used to being that hot and their bodies are not conditioned to it?
This is a factor that is at work. So European climate is, of course, supposed to be temperate, but it's getting increasingly hot.
Right.
So across the UK and across Europe, the countries are not prepared at all for heat waves of this unprecedented intensity. So we should also remember that climate change is making these heat waves to be truly record-breaking in terms of the maximum temperatures they bring and the number of days of oppressive heat and so forth. So there's really not widespread use of air conditioning across the UK and Europe. Thousands of schools across France and Germany and the UK had to close during these heat waves because there's simply no air conditioning. There's certainly a degree of adaptation in groups that live in warmer parts of the world. But in the end, the same human physiology sets in, and in the end, we are all vulnerable to heat exhaustion, dehydration, when we are subjected to these oppressive temperatures for long periods of time. So also in Uppington, for example, let's take Uppington as an example in the Northern Cape. People in this part of the country are, of course, used to very high maximum temperatures. But even in their case, if there's a heat wave that lasts for 7 days or 11 days, and morning temperatures are also high, you don't have easy access to cool water, this is life-threatening, even if you are used to living in a very warm part of the world.
Thank you so much. I mean, fascinating stuff then, and we'll have to have Prof. Engelbrecht back. He is Professor of Climatology and Director of the WITS Global Change Institute. But I've been looking at these numbers, not sort of obsessively so, but I mean, these are stories that catch my eye. And I was thinking, wow, I mean, the death toll in, for example, the UK, 2,700 people dying, deaths attributed to the extreme heat in that country. And I thought, well, is this a factor for us? But everything Prof. Engelbrecht is saying is this is something we're going to need to get our heads around. If the trends of countries getting hotter and the planet generally getting hotter are borne out and continue in the way they have. Interesting indeed. Maybe you've got a story about dealing with extreme heat yourself. Have you ever felt that your health was put at significant risk by the heat you were exposed to? If you've got a story there, I'd love to hear it. 072 702 1702.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
France play the 2010 winners, Spain. The game will feature one of the most clinical attacks in France against a team that has only conceded 1 goal so far.
Predictions, please.
Got to be France.
Really?
I'm going for France. I really hope they... Yeah.
I'm saying 0-0 and then penalties.
What?
No
but who's going to
ways.
win?
France.
So I just quickly have to read this message from Eugene. He says, penalties 5-4 to FIFA, Argentina.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Cutting costs means more money for your business. So switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. And you could get an out bonus with up to 10% of your paid premiums back. So make the smart business move and switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Do it today for law firms, real estate agencies, computer services, and all other businesses. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08 600 60,000 today. Licensed insurance FSP, TCs and information online.
Just Andalex it.
Do you have a sore throat? Andalex C Oral Rinse and Spray provides targeted relief from 1 minute that lasts up to 4 hours. It reduces pain and inflammation while numbing the affected areas. It also kills viruses and bacteria that cause sore throats to help prevent serious throat infections. Andalex, South Africa's #1 choice for sore mouth and throats. For more information, speak to your healthcare professional.
Just Andalex it.
Andalex, a proud sponsor of The Masked Singer Season 3.
This Tuesday, July 14, you could win an estimated 29 million rand total Powerball jackpot. That's a mega 18 million for Powerball and 11 million for Powerball Extra. Catch the live draw this Tuesday at 9 p.m. on ETV and SABC. You could become SA's next multi-millionaire. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions.
Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakaya.
This is EWN.
Julius Mkhwanazi facing more charges at an internal disciplinary hearing. An ad hoc committee cannot link Senzo Mchunu to criminal gangs. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. EWN has learnt that suspended EMPD top cop Julius Mkhwanazi is now facing a total of 3 disciplinary charges. Mkhwanazi is appearing before a disciplinary hearing today, but those proceedings are being held behind closed doors. He was initially charged by the city of Ekurhuleni after a 2023 IPID report found that he improperly granted blue lights to alleged crime boss Vusumuzi Matlala. But 2 additional charges have now been added to the sheet following revelations made at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry recently. Alfara Mushwana reports.
EWN has it on good authority that 3 IPID reports which found wrongdoing by EMPD top cop Julius Mkhwanazi are being presented at his disciplinary hearing. In addition to the Blue Lights saga, Mkhwanazi is now also facing internal charges related to the alleged theft of nearly 15 million rand worth of precious stones from an apartment building in 2021. Testimony presented at the Madlanga Commission recently revealed allegations that Mkhwanazi, a JMPD officer, 2 EMPD officers and a civilian were involved in the theft of the stones, which were then sold for 110,000 rand. Mkhwanazi is also facing charges linked to the 2022 murder of businessman Emmanuel Mbenze. The commission heard from slain witness D that Mkhwanazi was allegedly called in to help conceal Mbenze's murder and played a role in arranging the disposal of his body. With Mkhwanazi now facing 3 separate disciplinary charges, his internal hearing is expected to take longer than initially expected. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
The Investigative Directorate Against Corruption has 2 pending court cases in which tainted crime intelligence top cop Feroz Khan is a state witness. IDAC senior investigator Brian Padiachi has told the Madlanga Commission today that he has a strictly professional relationship with Khan. It follows allegations of an improper relationship between Khan and some senior IDAC officials. One of the allegations is that IDAC officials leaked a docket of a complaint to Khan laid by another officer. Padiachi says he once worked with Khan at Crime Intelligence but denies ever leaking or disclosing any confidential information.
I had strictly an official working relationship with him. General Khan is also a state witness in 2 of the IDAC investigations that are pending before the Magistrates Court. I am the investigating officer in both these criminal cases.
Padiachi says recent revelations about Khan have changed his perception about him.
I must say on this part, Chair, Commissioners, the General Khan that I know and that I worked with during this particular time is not the General Khan that I see now with what is appearing before the Commission. I had my reservations during my time at Crime Intelligence on senior officers there, but it was not to the extent of what is seen now.
No evidence linking Police Minister Senzo Mchunu to criminal networks has been found by Parliament's ad hoc committee, which is probing allegations of police corruption. But the committee's draft report has raised unresolved integrity concerns against Mchunu, who has been on special leave for over a year. The committee continued discussions into the draft report and made further recommendations today as it rushes to meet this month's deadline. Babalondense has more.
The latest version of the ad hoc committee's draft report has cleared most high-profile witnesses of any criminal conduct or links to cartels in the disbanding of the political killings task team. The witnesses that the committee has made no criminal findings against include Senzo Mchunu, Deputy National Commissioner Shadrack Sibia, and IDAC head Anthea Johnson. Committee Content Advisor Christine Silkstone reminded the committee that it is not a court of law or a prosecuting body before tabling the findings.
Minister Mchunu, the report finds executive accountability and resolved integrity concerns, but does not find a proven corrupt agreement or cartel instruction. Around Lieutenant Sibia, the report finds serious unresolved issues and makes referrals, but does not find that he acted for Mr. Matlala, Mr. Mkhotsi, or an organized crime network.
Committee members from most parties called the report watered down and ignored most of their recommendations. The report is expected to go through further amendments before a final draft is handed to the Speaker. Babalondense, Eyewitness News.
The Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa says the initiation of boys into manhood should never cause injury, let alone death.
This year's winter initiation death toll has risen to 35. Preliminary reports show 12 abductions have also been reported. Mpumalanga recorded the most deaths at 17, followed by the Eastern Cape with 7 fatalities. Controlesa Eastern Cape chairperson Mwele Nkunyana says the worrying statistics clearly signify that something is drastically wrong in the administration of this custom.
And as Controlesa, we've been saying so many times that this custom must be administered by traditional institutions. Traditional institutions in this country must have powers and functions, not roles. And the government must be supportive, must not be in the forefront.
And in the UK, a COVID inquiry has found that the lives of National Health Service staff were put at risk because of a lack of personal protective equipment. According to the inquiry, the scramble to buy PPE during the COVID-19 pandemic saw the UK waste almost £10 billion in taxpayer money. Tens of millions more was spent on other equipment that simply could not be used. The inquiry says better planning would have resulted in fairer, faster and less costly procurement decisions. Gold is trading at $4,083.81 an ounce. The rand is at 16.34 to the dollar, 21.92 to the pound, 18.71 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $86.61 a barrel.
Leaving Midrand, heading towards Germiston, expect some delays in the Marlborough Alex area. This is N3 southbound between the Patloo Interchange and London Road, while in Rudaport, slow-moving traffic on Randfontein Road between Collet and Adcock due to roadworks.
In your sport, Didier Deschamps declares that Kylian Mbappe is 100% fit for World Cup semi-final despite missing training. Xabi Alonso believes that Spain are capable of winning the tournament as they gear up for their clash against Le Bleu. And Uruguay named Diego Forlan as interim head coach.
In your weather, a fine Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 4 degrees, peaking at 21. Pretoria 6 and 23, and Vereeniging 3 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN. We have learned that suspended EMPD top cop Julius Mkhwanazi is now facing a total of 3 disciplinary charges.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Visit primemediaplus.com to enter 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Josie.
For Joburg, by Joburg, in Joburg.
Bamise bonke.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 4. Welcome to the show. Coming up later, we're going to look ahead to both semi-finals in the World Cup. Spain versus France tonight, Argentina, England tomorrow. The first game is in Atlanta. I'd love to get your predictions. I'm going France on penalties tonight, England 2-1 tomorrow, but what do I know? Because my predictions haven't been that great. Either way, I'm looking forward to both matches. Are the 4 best teams in the competition in the semi-finals, or maybe you've got a view on somebody who missed out and shouldn't have? Call us on that as well. 072 702 1702. Later in this hour as well, we're going to be running a little competition that will give you rather special access to the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk on the 26th of July. I'll share those competition details with you a little bit later. We're going to have fun with that, and if you happen to win the prize, well, you'll be joining the walk, but you'll get something special to go along with it that I think you'll really appreciate. Later for that one. After 5 o'clock, high noon, that's a cliche. Let me miss that. But a very important day in the Western Cape High Court tomorrow as President Cyril Ramaphosa's attempt to interdict Parliament's Committee on Phala is put to a stringent judicial test. What kind of questions are the court going to be asking? All that and more coming up after 5 o'clock. I've been asking you the question, what is that thing that you've sort of tried to get and tried to like and tried to either buy or do or partake in or engage with, whatever the thing might be. And then you've kind of just realized, actually, you know what, I don't think this is something I actually like. We heard earlier from Refuwe, massage, decided that's not going to be her thing. For me, riding horses, probably decided that's not something I'm going to do again. Although if I found myself in a place where people said, we're going to all go for a little ride, I wouldn't say I'm not doing it, but something, that I thought I would really like at some point in my life. And then I decided I didn't. Couple of suggestions so far from Nico, who says sardines. Okay, I was never in doubt on that. No to sardines for me. And Aubakwe, smoking a joint. Yeah, I mean, it's another thing. Some people said, everyone, or a lot of people I know is doing that. Let me try that. Lebogang says, entertaining idiots. When did you ever think that would be something you would enjoy doing? Anyway, it's a good thing, Lebogang, given how pointless that does sound, that you finally decided that's not going to be on your dance card in the decades still to come. 11 minutes past 4. Let's hear a few of your voice notes.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John. The one thing that I don't like doing, to the disappointment of my family, is to go and sit up in a restaurant and have a meal. Well, the main reason is that when I eat, I nibble. So I don't sit and have one meal at one go. So, and then, I don't know, but here I think it's just me convincing myself. I'm always concerned about how was the food cooked and the going-ons in the kitchen. So that's why when I see videos about behind the scenes in the kitchen, I feel vindicated that I'm right. That's why I don't like going to restaurants. Kabelang, Pretoria.
Chris here. Here is something that I don't understand. Maybe the guys, they can explain to me. The issue of alcohol. Why people are drinking alcohol? Because, I don't know, many years ago I've touched alcohol, but it's like I'm drinking the next day. It's like I'm broke, I'm not feeling good. And why are the people doing that? I'd just love to hear the idea from other people. Why are you drinking alcohol, guys? Sharp.
The thing that I just can't anymore is company get-togethers, those Christmas parties, as well as family get-togethers, and coincidentally enough, also around Christmas. I just can't. I think my social battery depletes rather quickly, and the tolerance to keep up conversations that are meaningless just becomes the most frustrating activity I ever find myself embarking on. It's Carol here from Robindale. Thank you.
Okay, fascinating examples. Madeleine throws out one that I'm sure will ruffle a few feathers and maybe act as a hook for you to call in. Madeleine, she doesn't get fishing. Karabo Charlie is nodding his head. You're going to have a lot of time on your hands, my friend. No golf. No wading your way through a big plate of seafood. And connected to that, you ain't going to go fishing, judging from the look.
I don't think it's something that I would enjoy.
Have you tried it?
No, actually, but
give it a try.
I've watched people fish, and you just sit there waiting for the rod to move and shake.
But while you're doing that, you're thinking, you're looking across a beautiful stretch of water. P.S. I don't really like it either. So I'm not the right advocate. Fishermen and women out there, come on, persuade Karabo. Take him fishing, why don't you? 14 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. We had problems in Roodepoort. We'll get an update on that. But in addition, Marlborough is getting busy. Karabo with all the information you need to know.
Yeah, it looks like it's just peak hour traffic, John. Driving through the Marlborough Alex area, heading towards Germiston, Bedford View. Expect some delays. N3 southbound between the Butlu Interchange and London Road. In Sandton, heading towards Midrand. Traffic also sluggish on the M1 northbound from Ethel Auckland to Marlborough Drive, Sunning Hill. We still have those roadworks approaching the intersection of Rivonia Road and Witkoppen, slowing down traffic. And in Rudaput, roadworks also slowing down traffic heading into Leratong Kagiso area. That's on Randfontein Road between Corlett and Adcock. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
35 minutes listening to your favorite podcast goes by quickly, but 35 minutes stuck in traffic crawls by painfully. Thankfully, the Outsurance Pointsmen are here to save the day. These heroes in green and purple have been easing traffic congestion for the past 20 years. The Outsurance Pointsmen, helping everyone get where they need to be quickly and safely. Just another way you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using hashtag PointsmenLove. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Is there a word for the feeling of a road disappearing over the horizon? Beyonding? What about the feeling you get when you see sunlight flickering through rows of trees? Sun fizzing. Anyway, some things don't like to be explained. They just ask to be felt. Like the feeling of a drive built around you. Technology that's human first makes you one with your car in a way that you can't explain. You can only feel. And there's a word for that. Mazda. Wonder awaits. At the 702 Josie Majosi Walk the Talk, snap and share any one of 5 Mazda Wonder experiences using hashtag MazdaSA to stand a chance to win a share of 50,000 Rand.
Do you know what our problem is?
We have a problem?
You're a little clingy.
Clingy?
Every time I start getting somewhere, you want me.
But I need you.
You can't have all of me. I need a little room to grow.
So what are you saying?
Put me in a Nedbank 32-day notice account. Give me some time. I'll come back better. Open a Nedbank 32-day notice account on the Money app and bank your money this July savings month. Go to nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
This Tuesday, July 14, you could win an estimated 29 million Rand total Powerball jackpot. That's a mega 18 million for Powerball and 11 million for Powerball Extra. Catch the live draw this Tuesday at 9 p.m. on ETV and SABC. You could become SA's next multi-millionaire. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions.
Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakaya.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Now, a very interesting article on the Business Day site written by Deputy Editor Kabelo Khumalo caught my eye, and that is to do with Transnet and measures they've publicly announced they are planning to take to try and deal with the threat to their infrastructure, but let's be clear, to our infrastructure. The attack on rail infrastructure has been relentless. It's been going on for many, many years, and all the gains that Transnet has been making, and there are plenty that are being recorded, are constantly put under threat by people who are trying to steal all kinds of things. Overhead track equipment, the tracks themselves, things that are used for making the signal system work, and so on. So let's talk about this because it's really of vital interest to all of us. We welcome to the show Moshe Mutloi, who is Chief Executive at the Transnet Rail Infrastructure Manager. Mr. Mutloi, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. Would you say that the assault on our rail infrastructure is worse now than it's ever been? Are there signs that you're managing to ward off some of this criminality? How would you locate this in terms of a very long timeline of trying to keep the infrastructure intact? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Our observation is that the security incidents have improved year on year if you're comparing with the previous period. I think we are on the right direction in terms of dealing with all the issues we're mentioning. However, we cannot sit back. We still need to do some more because, like you are correctly saying, every investment we make, if somebody comes and steal or destroy our equipment, is eroding value for South African economy. But we are on the right track, hence we want to improve that so that we can be comfortable around the security of the infrastructure and the rolling stock for all the investors and enable the economy to do well.
So, I mean, according to Cabello's story, which is obviously based on information coming from yourselves, you're looking to procure more than 1,000 security guards. You need more vehicles, 100 of those. In mind, there are motorcycles for perhaps areas that are difficult to reach. Dogs have a role to play, and you're thinking of using drones perhaps more than you already are. I'm assuming drones are part of the mix. Is there a timeline on this? And crucially, do you have the budget you need? I know budgets are never sufficient by definition, but is this effort being properly funded?
Look, well, let me come first with the issue of the numbers. I don't want to say 1,000 or otherwise in terms of numbers. The service providers are also going to give us the number of people we need. But it is correct that we're looking at improving the security of our network, and we've got some money made available. But of course, we are open to engaging stakeholders who have an interest, who get affected by the destruction of the rail network, who want to partner with us. We remain open. Of course, we've got what we call customer collaboration policy, which allows us to work with private sector. What we're looking at here, over and above the traditional security system that we had, we're looking at having that traditional security. We need to infuse technology into the space where we've got drones. We must put people breaking onto the network, let's say, people who are breaking into the system, the anti-intrusion, that's what I wanted to say. We also are looking at intelligence. Intelligence is also underpinned by working with communities, because we know people can see what is happening around us. And once we've got the security-driven and intelligence operation, we are likely to get cooperation from community to give us insights. So when we go out to market, we're looking at getting all those features coming in so that we can isolate people who are hell-bent on destroying the infrastructure.
Yeah. It's an issue, and one of the things that came up in our conversation when we were planning to get in touch with you at Transnet is what exactly is getting stolen, and secondly, where is all that material going? I mean, are tracks being stolen, for example? Is this happening on that kind of scale?
Let me give you an example. We have started an intelligence-driven operation intervention that supplements the security interventions on the North Corridor, where we have started plotting who steals the equipment, rails, or any other pieces of equipment that we're using. Where are they taking it to? What gets done with it? We now understand some do export some of the stuff that they steal from us. Now, in collaboration with South African Police, NPA, and other agencies such as Customs, we're able to zoom in and isolate those people. And our strategy is one, we have to stop the oxygen from people who generate the need for this, because a petty thief on the ground is not going to find value if nobody buys it. And the middlemen in between who buy the stuff, they buy it with the intention of selling to somebody who sells it to whoever makes another product out of this. So we have to make sure that in that pyramid, everybody who has a role to play is made to account. And accounting, we're doing it in collaboration with the service providers and state agencies I've just mentioned. And we've seen an improvement and an increase in the number of convictions that are coming through.
It's really interesting, Mr. Mutloyi, because you've absolutely anticipated what was going to be my next question. So let me answer it in the context of what you just said. It sounds from what you're saying that this in many ways is very similar to the battle against illegal mining and indeed any other infrastructure challenges we face, for example, in our cities with the carving up of electricity infrastructure. So the question then is this, I mean, if we don't find the people who are at the top of this pyramid, as you describe it, would it be fair to say that in a way all we're doing is just a holding action? We try and minimize what's happening, but we have to find some way to cut off the head of these syndicates. Otherwise, it's always going to be uphill.
Definitely, that is our attitude that has been supported by our board and senior management at Transnet. That's what we want to do, and really we're moving towards that direction.
In terms of I mean, do people literally steal meters and meters and maybe over time it's kilometers of railway track? And if so, surely that's a hard thing to do undetected. I mean, you've got to have large vehicles, you've got to have powerful tools to firstly separate the rails and secondly lift them up. I mean, is this almost industrial scale looting going on?
Look, actually, more than railway being stolen, what gets stolen is the copper cables. Because from those are light, and you can take a few meters of those that add up into kilometers and disappear. We have seen on the video footage that all they need is about 4 minutes to cut and disappear from scene. Therefore, the anti-intrusion detection using of drones, dogs, and intelligence is important so that you can catch them on the act. That's what we're doing because, remember, there's demand for products made up of copper, and people chasing this are going to sell that for those products. However, we've done something as well other than just securing. We have replaced copper with what we call tiger wire, which is of poor quality. And really, we are happy that we're talking to you because we can then educate people. We've seen in instances where people go still only to realize that this is not real copper. We are phasing out copper so that we can have stuff that does the same conduction of heat but of power without really being copper. So that's what we're doing from an engineering side. But from a preventative side, we're doing all these things that I've mentioned.
Thank you so much. Fascinating. Moshe Mutloi is Chief Executive at the Transnet Rail Infrastructure Manager, and a huge campaign that is ongoing to try and protect our rail infrastructure. Against severe odds, it would seem. 27 minutes past 4.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
Are you seeing many people that either miscalculated, number one, and two, people that get to maintain their lifestyles without the downsized parts? The people that can say, my son always has a room to come home.
Yeah, look, I think there's always this sense of, I'll start at a later stage. Life generally gets more expensive as you get older. It doesn't get less expensive. And I was speaking to a group of aspiring actuaries, and in the conversation, one of the first things that I told them is, don't wait for your second salary to start saving. Your first salary is the best opportunity to get into that habit.
Martins Barnard, marketing actuary at Momentum Investments.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
On Sunday, 26 July, Absa and Mazda are making your 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk truly iconic, with a chance to win a brand new Mazda 2 on the day. To enter, download, register and transact on the Absa banking app between 26 June and 20 July 2026. Jozi, Absa sees you. Asambe. Absa is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Competition terms and conditions apply.
Make sure that your life-changing donation goes exactly where it's meant to. With Izinga Assist, you can give with complete confidence because every donation is secure, transparent, and traceable. Funds are safely managed through a dedicated ShopRite Money Market account, and you'll receive clear proof showing the impact of your contribution. Give with trust today at izassist.org. Izinga Assist, doing good, done better. Proudly supported by Primedia Cares.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials. It's the flavor! Real reviews by real people. Nadine from Belito is no scallop, but she did call the flame-grilled half chicken in Nando's unique peri-peri recipe with a single side of your choice for $125 dope. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, sorry. Relax, Nadine. The only thing we're busting here is your hunger. Okay? Nando's. Oh, what a place.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, the oil price is going up and up and up, eh?
It is, John. Past $85 a barrel, I'm afraid, with all sorts of implications for us. That said, though, resource stocks up quite sharply today, gold and platinum, particularly platinum, and that has given our shares a little bit of a boost. So the all shares up 0.38%, 110,422 points. Financials down 0.11%, industrials down a quarter, but resources are up nearly 2% on the day, and that's really made a big difference. So Tungela leading the charge, they're up 5.5%. Northern Platinum, they're up 3.67%. And Northam also having an update. They produced 17% more chrome concentrate because of a big jump at the Eland mine. So I'm sure that's helping. Glencore, bear in mind they produce coal as well. They're up 3.42%. And Exaro up 2.5%. And they're in the coal business. Valterra, Sibanye, all of them up by around 2.5%. And Anglo and Harmony up by around 2% as well on the day. Even BHP is up by over 3%. Quite a lot happening in the mining sector today. The group Tharisa reporting quarterly platinum group metals production up slightly in the quarter to the end of June. The basket metals price, the average price, was down by 11% during the period. And Alpha Min reporting its EBITDA up by 6% in the period ending in June from the previous quarter. Did process more ore, but its contained tin production did meet its guidance. So all of that helping as well. It's Total down 2.5%. Interesting, John, because yesterday we had news that had been gazetted late on Friday in the Government Gazette that they've won their application to have really quite strong tariffs being imposed on tiles that are being imported from Zimbabwe and Mozambique. Anti-dumping duties, in fact, of 200%. So they were up yesterday, but they're down today. Optasia is down 2.21% and Canil Plus down 2%. Interesting. Quite a few of the consumer shares down, John. So Pick n Pay's down 2%. Motus is down 2%. Aspen down 1.75%. We Buy Cars and the Foschini Group are both down by around 1.7%. I should just mention the term of the Transnet board being extended for 6 months. This is from the Minister. Was due to expire on the 12th, or did expire 2 days ago, depending on how you read these things, will now only expire in January or until someone new is appointed to that position. In other words, until a new board is appointed at Transnet. In the US, things looking slightly positive. So what happened was they were lower than expected inflation figures released today. That means that there's likely to be less of a chance of an interest rate hike. Quite a lot of results coming from US banks as well. So that's having an impact too. The Dow Jones is up 0.25%. The Nasdaq is up 0.48%. The S&P 500 is up 0.21%. The gold price, $4,078.44 an ounce. Platinum, $1,652.10. Brent crude, $85.18. The rand to the dollar, 16.34. To the euro, 18.72. To the British pound, 21.92. I'm going to go and look for some really good tackies for Walk the Talk and every day thereafter. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. 28 minutes to 5. Stephen back with us at about 25 minutes past 5 with an update and a look ahead to the Money Show. Looking forward to hearing what's going to be in that lineup. Right now, here's Mbali Dlamini with the very latest Eyewitness News. Good afternoon to you again.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Well, police say the SANDF's deployment to gang hotspots in the Western Cape has led to more than 1,000 arrests in 3 months. Operation Prosper, which brings together the South African Police Service, SANDF, and Cape Town's law enforcement agencies, was deployed to 17 high-crime precincts across the Western Cape. Despite this deployment, more than 40 people were killed in suspected gang-related shootings across the province. Carlo Peterson has more.
Western Cape Police spokesperson Andre Trout says 1,054 suspects were arrested for murder, attempted murder and firearm and drug-related crimes during Operation Prosper's interventions in the last 3 months. Trout says police also confiscated firearms, ammunition, drugs and illegal alcohol while shutting down 47 unlicensed liquor outlets. He says since the deployment there's been reductions in several categories of serious and violent crime.
The operation continues to focus resources on identified crime hotspots and ongoing intelligence-led interventions aimed at reducing violent crime.
A review of reported shootings since April indicates at least 40 people have been killed across the province. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
Rebuilding South Africa's manufacturing sector and strengthening Africa's industrial competitiveness were the main sentiments at the opening of this year's Manufacturing Indaba. Speaking at the Indaba, Deputy Minister for Trade John Steenhuisen and Deputy President Paul Mashatile outlined government's vision for industrial growth and manufacturing-led economic development. Steenhuisen said government wants to reposition manufacturing at the center of the country's industrial strategy.
Africa should increasingly trade in value-added products rather than just exporting raw materials and importing finished goods. Africa must transition from merely being the source of raw material to becoming the manufacturing powerhouse.
Mashatile echoed these sentiments, saying industrialization will be critical if Africa is to compete in an increasingly technology-driven global economy.
Africa cannot afford to be left behind. This requires investments in digital skills, robotics, coding, advanced engineering, data, analytic, and modern artisan development.
And oil prices have climbed for a second day after fresh U.S. strikes on Iran heightened tensions in the Middle East. This has continued to raise concerns about security along the Strait of Hormuz. The jump in oil prices has renewed fears that inflation could rise again, keeping pressure on central banks to hold interest rates higher for longer. U.S. President Donald Trump says the United States will protect the Strait of Hormuz and has proposed a 20% fee on cargo passing through that main waterway. In your weather, a fine Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 3 and 6 degrees and highs of between 21 and 23.
Marlborough, driving through Alex, heading towards Germiston, you can still expect delays on the N3 southbound between the Baclue Interchange and London Road in Sandton, heading towards Midrand. There's bumper-to-bumper traffic, M1 northbound from Athol, Oakland, all the way to Marlborough Drive. And if you're driving through the Joburg CBD, heading towards Boysons, expect some delays, M1 southbound between Killarney Bends and the Crown Interchange.
A top story in EWN. Police say the SANDF's deployment to gang hotspots at the Western Cape has led to more than 1,000 arrests in the past 3 months.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Kabelo, when I read this Daily Maverick piece, I did see that you indicated to them that by the time you posed these questions, you had been a member of Parliament's Justice Committee. Was there a discrepancy there, or did you unintentionally not tell the truth?
No, I don't think it's a discrepancy. So as I say, I started it as a member of the Justice Committee. I was in fact given permission if I wanted to run with it, but I decided to focus on my portfolio. So yeah, beyond the duration of my stay on justice, I did continue for a while.
Kabelo Kobisa Ngaba is the Member of Parliament for the Democratic Alliance.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
If you're a fan of the beautiful game, you'll recognize this. And this. But what about this? It's your chance to score big time. Win your share of up to 2 million rand with Standard Bank. It's game day every day. To enter, open and use any qualifying Standard Bank account, in-app or in branch. Already a Standard Bank customer? Sign up for Standard Bank Connect online to get a bonus entry. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The 18th of July marks Nelson Mandela Day, a global call to action encouraging us all to spend 67 minutes making a difference. Join the Adopt a School Foundation as we bring companies together to uplift a school in Soweto. Plant a vegetable garden, read to a learner, paint a classroom. Every act of kindness helps create a better learning environment and a brighter future. Honor Madiba's legacy, give your 67 minutes and be part of a lasting change. Visit adoptaschool.org.za for more.
This Tuesday, July 14, you could win an estimated 29 million rand total Powerball jackpot. That's a mega 18 million for Powerball and 11 million for Powerball Extra. Catch the live draw this Tuesday at 9 p.m. on ETV and SABC. You could become SA's next multi-millionaire. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions.
Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakaya.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John Prince here from Kempton Park. As for me, it's a meaningless friend. A friend who is not productive. A friend who doesn't contribute anything meaningful to me. Hey, my friend, I don't care about such people. Thank you. Nice show.
Good afternoon, John and the listeners. This is Mwedisi here. I also don't get fishing, John. I don't get it. I don't get where the fun is. And also, I went with some friends on a fishing trip where they would catch the fish and put it back in the water. I just couldn't get it. I mean, if I had to fish, to alleviate hunger and eat the fish, I would do it. But to catch the fish and then throw it back in the water. And when you catch another one, I'm just sitting there hoping it's not that first one, because just now that one is hurt, and then now you're catching it again with a hook. I can't stand it. Thanks, John.
Hi, regarding this heat wave in Europe and people unfortunately dying, I feel that it's more of the body adapting to a certain weather. An example that I will make is Africa. Africa is very warm, and we are used to a certain weather. We're used to fairly warm weather as opposed to Europeans. Europeans, they are used to fairly colder temperatures. So their bodies have adapted to that. So I don't know if that can be a contributing factor.
Yeah, 702 Drive. Thanks so much for sending us those voice notes. We had an interesting conversation about the heat wave in Europe and the many people, in the UK alone, 2,700 people plus dead over the past 2 months, directly attributable to the heat wave. If you missed our conversation a little bit earlier with WITS's Professor Francois Engelbrecht, you can pick that up on our website, primemediaplus.com. It's 18 minutes to 5.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Now, we've been talking to you a lot about the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, and so many of you have already responded. We're going to be a big gang, but we still want you to be there and walk with us for all sorts of reasons. Now, the walk begins and ends at Ellis Park, and it really has struck me just from my own personal perspective, what an extraordinary part Ellis Park has played in my life. That was where, as a young boy, I first went to watch rugby matches. Ellis Park looked completely different in those days. Part of the excitement was the crowd, part of it was rugby. And then, of course, it was quite extraordinary to witness the Nazi fights that went on in the crowd. And since then, Ellis Park has just added layer upon layer upon layer of extraordinary memories that really, in so many ways, tell the story of this country. So what I'd like you to do, please, is send us your favorite Ellis Park memory. It could have been rugby, it could have been football. Absolutely incredible football matches played in that stadium. Then there have been concerts. There was the concert in the park all those years ago, and there have been other absolutely memorable evenings and afternoons spent listening to music at Ellis Park. There have been political rallies there. I'm pretty sure some of the major church groups have staged revivals and other things there as well. I'm going to share with you one of my most favorite Ellis Park memories, and then after that, please send us yours on 072 702 1702. Today and tomorrow and on Thursday, we'll be giving away a prize to the very best Ellis Park memory story. And that prize is VIP tickets to the 702 walk on the 26th of July. And what that means is you do the walk and you enjoy it, and then you're going to come and join all of us in the VIP area where there'll be great food and even more fabulous company. So 2 VIP tickets to give away. My Ellis Park memory. Well, let me let the late Clive Barker set it up, first of all, with what he said before this particular match.
Delighted about his success. We would want to win for him, so that's added pressure. And obviously Zambia, being one of the top nations in Africa at the moment, having just qualified for the Cup final, they're a formidable opponent as it is, without the extra pressure. But I'm sure it's going to be a great day for South Africa, and we're not going to let Mr. Mandela down.
Well, they certainly did not let President Nelson Mandela down on his inauguration day. Were you there when we played against Zambia, a team we'd never beaten? Now, people talk about Madiba Magic as beginning with the Rugby World Cup. Madiba Magic began on that day in 1994. It was the longest halftime ever in a Bafana Bafana game as Nelson Mandela took to the field, met the players, and 1 minute after he had left and the game had resumed, South Africa scored, and a minute after that, they scored again. Brendan Augustine with the first, Dr. Khumalo with the second. I was there. I was actually doing the commentary with Dan Sitsedi. So that is my very, very special Ellis Park memory. What's yours? 072 702 1702.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele Mganga with the very latest from a World Cup that sees semi-final number 1 tonight.
The EWN World Cup Desk. The latest scores, the biggest stories, and the moments everyone's talking about.
And ahead of it, France captain Kylian Mbappe didn't complete Monday's final training session, having suffered a minor ankle injury, but he is expected to be fit for tonight's clash against Spain. The forward has led the charge for Les Bleus, who are looking to reach a third consecutive final at the Global Showpiece event. He scored 8 goals during the ongoing tournament to move to 20 strikes overall and just 1 behind record goal scorer Lionel Messi. A minute's silence will be observed before the clash as a tribute to the victims of the Nice attack on July 14, 2016. That clash between the two nations comes on the 10th anniversary of the attack, which saw 86 people killed and more than 400 injured when a truck driver plowed into crowds leaving a Bastille Day fireworks display. For Spain, they're potentially 2 games away from a second global title after their maiden triumph in 2010. Xabi Alonso was a key member of that squad and has discussed the current generation's chances of adding this trophy to the European Championship they won in 2024.
They have a great team, and I can see them winning this World Cup for sure. Now, so many the English gentlemen around, they are hoping not to happen, but yeah, they play really good, and they have a very strong team.
Uruguay have started to rebuild their national team following a group stage exit and subsequent departure of Marcelo Bielsa. They've hired former Manchester United attacker Diego Forlan on a temporary basis as a search for a permanent coach begins. Forlan will be in charge until March 2027 and will also manage the under-20 team, having cut his coaching teeth with Uruguay top-flight side Pernal. As for Senegal, their football federation have placed the blame of their failed FIFA World Cup campaign on Papa Thiaw, who they fired as a head coach on Sunday. They alleged that Thiaw threatened not to travel for the tournament unless his increased salary demands were met, a threat they insist created an environment of toxicity. Additionally, the Senegalese Federation have revealed that their team doctor was trained as a gynecologist and lacked the specialist background needed to support the squad during the North American tournament. Tola Gilimganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
From kickoff to the final whistle, this is the EWN World Cup Desk.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. We had problems earlier. Karabo in Marlborough. Still the same?
Yeah, and it's getting worse, I'm afraid, John. Peak hour traffic. This is heading towards Alex, Bedfordview area, N3 southbound between the Butler Interchange and London Road, Kempton Park. Traffic heavily backed up. This is on the R21 northbound between the R24 split and Atlas Road. This is opposite OR Tambo International Airport. In Sandton, heading towards Midrand, traffic also a bit sluggish on the M1 northbound from Athol Oaklands to Marlborough Drive. Sunning Hill, we still have those roadworks causing some delays approaching the intersection of Rivonia Road and Witkoppen, while if you're driving through the Joburg CBD heading towards Boysons, also slow-moving traffic on the M1 southbound from Killarney Bends to the Crown Interchange, and finally in Doornpoort north of Pretoria, traffic pressure N4 westbound between the N1 and Bravery. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Clever excuses for being late, number 94.
I ran out of petrol and had to push my car to the petrol station.
Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsman on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer in the FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. So we've been asking you, what are your best and most vivid memories of Ellis Park? I mean, there's so many things that have taken place in what really is an incredibly special part of Johannesburg. As I mentioned, I started going there probably in the late 1960s as a small boy, hopefully in long pants because it was winter, but maybe not. Nurtured and guided on my path into the stadium by either an older brother or my parents. But it's a place I've returned to again and again for football, for rugby, for music, and for so many other events as well. So I bet you've got a great Ellis Park memory that you can maybe share with us. Please do on 072 702 1702. If it's the one we like the best, well, you'll be joining us in the VIP section at the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Great company. We promise you great food as well. Send us your stories, please.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
The Public Investment Corporation has suspended its chief executive, Patrick Dlamini, as it investigates allegations of impropriety.
The PIC board says Patrick Dlamini has been placed on precautionary suspension to allow a fair, objective and independent investigation into the allegations in line with its whistleblower policy. The suspension will allow Dlamini space to respond to the allegations. It says interim arrangements for an acting chief executive are currently being finalized. Meanwhile, Leo Smith has been appointed as acting chief investment officer.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9 featuring MTN. Their Group Chief Sustainability and Corporate Affairs Officer, Nompilo Murafo, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. And join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Smart business moves save money. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's Stephen from the Villa Rosa.
I was with my previous insurer for 8 years and then I switched to Outsurance Business Insurance. I'm very happy with the premiums and switching was the best decision we ever made.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
France play the 2010 winners Spain. The game will feature one of the most clinical attacks in France against a team that has only conceded one goal so far.
Predictions, please.
Got to be France.
Really?
I'm going for France. I really hope they...
I'm saying 0-0 and then penalties.
What?
No
but who's
ways.
going to win?
France.
So I just quickly have to read this message from Eugene. He says, penalties 5-4 to FIFA, Argentina.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Whether you're following every match or just the ones that matter most, stay connected to 702 Cape Talk and EWN.co.za to stay connected to the world's greatest game.
Well, World Cup semi-finals beginning tonight. Spain versus France in Atlanta. Tomorrow it's England versus Argentina, a fixture that has history that goes way beyond the football field. To look ahead to these two semi-finals, we're joined now by a man who's covered many World Cups, who's written extensively about football and other subjects. Simon Cooper writes for the Financial Times. His books about football include Football Against the Enemy, Soccernomics, The Football Men, which is a wonderful book of profiles of some of the giants of the modern game. He's written about Barcelona, the rise and fall of the club that built modern football, and his latest work, World Cup Fever, Footballing Journey in 9 Tournaments. Simon, welcome and thanks very much for joining us from Atlanta, I'm assuming. Speaking of 9 tournaments, you've watched a lot of World Cup football. In purely footballing terms, how good has this World Cup been?
Yeah, this is my 10th. The thing is that the quality is less. That's inevitable with 48 teams, and we're going to go to 64, I think, at the next one. And so it's been lovely watching teams like Cape Verde. It's been bizarre seeing Jordan and Uzbekistan at the World Cup. And of course, the quality is worse. So if you're used to watching the Premier League or the knockout rounds of the Champions League, this isn't that. But I just don't think World Cups are about quality. They're about drama. They're about having your nation represented on the field. And so I have to say, FIFA was right to expand it because you're spreading the joy to countries like, dare I say it, South Africa, which hadn't qualified for 16 years. Now you were there, and that's lovely.
In terms of the semi-finals tonight, then, I mean, have the 4 best teams made it to the last 4?
With some luck, I would say yes. I mean, results are very close. Norway could have beaten England. People say Egypt could have beaten Argentina, which is true, and Argentina are very vulnerable defensively. But before people say, oh, the referees have a conspiracy to help Argentina, which I don't quite believe. Also remember, Egypt defended extremely poorly. I don't think deserved to be in the final 8 or 4. So largely, yes, I would say the 4 best teams are in the semis.
In terms of tonight's game then, France versus Spain, I mean, you live in Paris, you have written a book about Barcelona, and as you mentioned, it's your 10th World Cup. What kind of game should we expect? I mean, teams both capable of wonderful attacking play, but does it get cagey at this stage?
I mean, I don't think that the French coach Didier Deschamps is going to take out one of his brilliant forwards. So there's a kind of 4th forward, the young guy on the left wing, which is either Désiré Doué or Brendan Barcola, both brilliant footballers. I think Doué is going to be one of the greats of the coming decade. But you could drop one and bolster the midfield, which looks very vulnerable. You know, 2 French midfielders against what the Spaniards keep calling the best midfield in the world, which maybe it is. So you could see Spain dominating possession. Spain have beaten France, I think, in 7 of the last 10 encounters between the countries. France don't like not having the ball. They're not brilliant at winning it back because they are so forward heavy. But I think that nobody is going to be blasé or complacent about the French forwards. And Spain's defenders are not quick. So you are seeing the best attack against France, against a shaky defense, Spain, one-on-one shaky, even though they've only conceded 1 goal. How will they fare against Mbappe, Olise, and Dembele? And on the other hand, you have the best defensive team as a whole because Spain defends by keeping the ball, by having it in midfield.
England, Argentina. I mean, it's a fabulous fixture. It has all sorts of on-field and off-field reverberations and echoes. But if we narrow it down to the game itself, what happens there?
Yeah, ignoring the Falklands War in the hand of God. The game itself, both teams are vulnerable defensively. Argentina struggled to win the ball back. They had to bring in their kind of ankle-biting, extremely aggressive defensive midfielder, Leandro Paredes, who, like many of the Argentinians, is getting a bit old, 32, but he still kind of runs around kicking people and winning the ball back, which they lacked. But still, there are many players in this Argentinian team who you would like to attack with the ball because they're not brilliant defensively and they're getting old. Rodrigo de Paul, Nico Tagliafico, Cristiano Romero is not a very mobile defender, and he's playing against his old Spurs clubmate, Harry Kane. So I think both teams have a kind of star-based system. England have these 2 stars, Bellingham and Kane. England are a decent side, vulnerable defensively, not a great passing side, not a great creative side, but the game is just somehow get the ball to Bellingham and Kane, and these guys will score. They have 6 each already, which in past World Cups was enough to make you the highest scorer of the attack. Argentina have quite a similar game. They're better at keeping the ball. And the game is just to get it to Messi. And Messi, you know, at times in the past, he's played number 10 for Argentina. At times he's played outside. Right now, he's just aiming to be on the edge of the penalty area shooting. He doesn't really have his dribble anymore. He can't accelerate past people. He did it once or twice against Egypt, but won't against a top-level defense. But of course, Messi is the best guaranteed goal scorer in the world. So it's a game of stars with 2 teams with quite a lot of flaws.
And the finalists will be?
Look, my predictions are always wrong, and I've learned that only fools predict the result of football matches. Having said that, I'm saying it's France-Argentina again, like last time.
Okay, I'm going France on penalties tonight, England 2-1 tomorrow night. But as you rightly say, you did mention fools. I'll happily include myself in that. Simon Cooper, many thanks. Joining us on the line from Atlanta at very short notice, I should add, but we're delighted to have him. And do check out his books. Start with the first one I'd recommend, Football Against the Enemy, which is about football and all the other things that shape it. And you can go all the way through to his latest work, World Cup Fever, Footballing Journey in 9 Tournaments. We appreciate his time. On 702 Drive, it's 5 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Kwanazi facing more charges at an internal DC, and Bheki Cele insists he did not interfere in probes into TRC cases. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. EWN has learnt that suspended EMPD top cop Julius Mkhwanazi is now facing a total of 3 disciplinary charges. Mkhwanazi has been appearing before a disciplinary hearing today, but the proceedings are being held behind closed doors. He was initially charged by the city of Ekurhuleni after a 2023 IPID report found that he improperly granted blue lights to alleged crime boss Vusimuzikat Matlala. But 2 additional charges have now been added following revelations made at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry recently. Alpha Ramushwana has the details.
EWN has it on good authority that 3 IPID reports which found wrongdoing by EMPD top cop Julius Mkhwanazi are being presented at his disciplinary hearing. In addition to the blue lights saga, Mkhwanazi is now also facing internal charges related to the alleged theft of nearly 15 million rand worth of precious stones from an apartment building in 2021. Testimony presented at the Madlanga Commission recently revealed allegations that Mkhwanazi, a JMPD officer, 2 EMPD officers and a civilian were involved in the theft of the stones, which were then sold for 110,000 rand. Mkhwanazi is also facing charges linked to the 2022 murder of businessman Emmanuel Mbenze. The commission heard from slain witness D that Mkhwanazi was allegedly called in to help conceal Mbenze's murder and played a role in arranging the disposal of his body. With Mkhwanazi now facing 3 separate disciplinary charges, his internal hearing is expected to take longer than initially expected. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
Questions have been raised at the Madlanga Commission regarding the affidavit of National Coloured Congress MP Fadil Adams, which was used to arrest a senior officer. In January of 2025, Adams submitted a sworn affidavit to the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, accusing Crime Intelligence head Dumsani Khumalo of corruption. A few months later, Khumalo and several other officers were arrested and charged with fraud and corruption. It's alleged they acted in common purpose to hire an inexperienced young person to a senior role within crime intelligence and unduly conferring them with the rank of brigadier. Tabiso Koba has more.
The affidavit of National Coloured Congress MP Fadil Adams was taken by IDAC in January 2025. However, a police case was only registered in June later that year. Senior IDAC investigator Brian Padiachi says the institution's process is to register an inquiry number first.
We find during the preliminary investigation, no. We have a prima facie case. It's supported by affidavits taken. Then we register a docket and go into a full-blown investigation.
There's also been questions over the fact that the affidavit was taken in Cape Town, but the IDEC stamp had an address for Pretoria. Co-Commissioner Sesi Baloyi.
It raises the question, was the deponent even in front of the Commissioner of Oaths?
Another discrepancy raised in the commission was the signatures of Adams and the Commissioner of Oaths being in the wrong places. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Former Police Minister Bheki Cele has denied interference in any investigation of Truth and Reconciliation Commission cases. Cele was in the hot seat at the Commission of Inquiry today, which is probing the handling of those cases. The Commission is looking into allegations that post-apartheid police and prosecutors deliberately stalled investigations into TRC cases that were referred for possible prosecution. Cele has been answering questions around those investigations for during both his tenure years as police minister and national police commissioner. The former minister also insists he did not receive complaints that police were not providing investigative support in these cases. But Cele did concede his refusal to fund the legal fees of former apartheid-era police officers that were facing prosecution may have played a role in delaying the progression of the cases.
As a result of position I adopted, there are members of the security branch who never faced prosecution, and that affected members of the families appearing before the commission and beyond. I also acknowledge the pleas from the Legal Resources Center, the Foundation for Human Rights, and others whose voices were not brought to my attention as a Minister of Police.
And in the U.S., an investigation is underway into the death of a Colombian national who was shot by a U.S. immigration officer. This marks the second such killing by federal agents in less than a week. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement says the shooting happened when officers tried to stop a vehicle while looking for a person with a deportation order. It's understood the person killed was not the one that officers were actually looking for. Last week, a Mexican man was shot dead by an ICE agent during an attempted vehicle stop in Texas. Gold is trading at $4,083.81 an ounce. The rand is at 16.34 to the dollar, 21.92 to the pound, 18.71 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $86.61 a barrel.
Traffic heavily backed up in the Kempton Park area. This is opposite OR Tambo International Airport on the R21 northbound between the R24 split and Atlas Road, while in Marlborough expect about a 30-minute delay heading towards Bedford View. That's the N3 southbound between the Butlu Interchange and Van Buren.
In your sport, giants collide as France and Spain face off for a spot in the FIFA World Cup final. Scott Barrett to miss New Zealand's tour of South Africa, and injury rules former winner Louis Oosthuizen out of the Open Championship.
In your weather, a fine Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 4 degrees, peaking at 21. Pretoria 6 and 23, and Vereeniging 3 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The newsroom has learned that suspended EMPD top cop Julius Mkhwanazi is now facing a total of 3 disciplinary charges.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 7 minutes past 5. Great to have you with us on this Tuesday. I hope it's been a good day. I hope you've got a good evening planned, whether it's quiet or you're doing something special. We're delighted either way. Coming up tomorrow is a very, very important 2 days in court. The Western Cape High Court will be hearing President Cyril Ramaphosa's urgent bid to halt Parliament's Section 89 impeachment proceedings. And this, of course, all in relation to the Phala Phala matter. We'll be talking to Dr. Shadi Makhanwe, who's a constitutional law expert at the Wits School of Law. That's coming up at about 12 minutes past 5. Looking ahead to some key questions. What is the court actually sitting to decide on? And what are the key things that might sway them one way or another? Important conversation. I'm looking forward to that. The other thing I'm really looking forward to, of course, is the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, which takes place on the 26th of July. And we asked you because we'd like to give away an opportunity for 2 of you. In other words, a pair of tickets to come along and join us at the walk. Not just walk with us, but join us afterwards in the VIP area that we'll have set up. There's going to be terrific company. You'll get to meet us hopefully there, and there'll be some terrific food and just general enjoyment afterwards. And the task we set for you was, with the walk starting and finishing at Ellis Park, I've got some incredible memories of things I've witnessed in that stadium, but I'm sure you do too. What is your best and most vivid Ellis Park memory. And you've been sending us some really, really nice stories. Let's take a listen to a few of those.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Yeah, my greatest Ellis Park memory must be when the Lions was in the semi-final playing against Western Province at the time. And Gavin Magic Johnson, if you can remember him, played fullback for the Lions. And he scored in the last minute. He scored the winning try to see the Lions go through to the final, and they ended up winning the Currie Cup that year. If you can remember, they're a bit of a magic team. And my favourite memory is the fact that a photographer took a photo of me carrying off Magic Johnson, and the next morning my father phoned me early in the morning to say he's opened the report. You in the front page carrying off Gavin Johnson. That's my memory. I've got a photo of it framed, and that's my magic memory. Thank you very much.
Afternoon, Uncle John and team. I haven't been to Ellis Park for a lot of events, but my favorite memory of being there was when we were students in the early 90s. There was a company that used to do promotions for concerts, and Phil Collins came through, and I think there was a couple of other artists. And as students, we used to have jobs as ushers. So we would work the ushering gig, and then we were allowed to watch the concerts for free. So I just got to see quite a lot of free concerts while being an usher at international artists' concerts.
Hi, John. My favorite memory of Ellis Park is, like you, the Nazi fights were unbelievable. But it's 1974, the SA Quaggas versus the 1974 British Lions, a game that had Peter Kirsten had fly off and a couple of other youngsters. We were robbed that day. And I remember the spectator tackling the ref, Ian Goulet, after the match. Yeah, thanks for a great show.
Yeah, I was at that game. It was midweek. It was a school day, but for some reason our school decided that they would take us to watch the game. Peter Kirsten was incredible at fly half, and if I'm not mistaken, Gavin Cowley was just as brilliant playing at first or second centre. I'll have to check the records, but that was a special Ellis Park day as well. So we'd love to keep getting your Ellis Park memories. Please do send them to us. We will run the competition again tomorrow, and we'll do it again on Thursday. But thanks for those, and please do keep them coming. Now, the other thing that we're going to be doing in this hour, after we've dealt with that all-important court case down in the Western Cape High Court, is for our musical feature today. I mentioned right at the start of the show, one of the really wonderful things about the World Cup, apart from the football and all the other stuff going on, beautiful images coming out of the crowd and people just absolutely hurling themselves and immersing themselves in the football, has been hearing all these different national anthems. So we asked you the question, what is your favorite national anthem apart from our own? We hear that regularly and we talk about it a lot. So we're looking for anthems from other countries. I wonder if anybody knows this anthem. Now, this was sent through by somebody. And so that person doesn't need to tell us what the anthem is, because we know they already know. But I'll give you a clue. It's an anthem you will not ever be hearing at a football game again. Take a listen. Pretty majestic stuff, I think. Anyone know that national anthem? Drop me a note on that. As I said, the clue is not going to be taking part at a World Cup ever again. The last one? Nah, that's too much of a clue. I don't think I'll give you that. 13 minutes past 5 o'clock. Time to get out on the roads.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo, problems have moved east. Kempton Park, you don't have the best news, but it's better to know than not to know, eh?
Yeah, so if you are hoping to catch a flight at OR Tambo International Airport, that's leaving the Germiston Bedfordview area heading towards Kempton Park. Traffic heavily backed up on the R21 northbound between the R24 Edenville Road and Atlas Road. This is due to an accident scene. Marlborough also expect about a 30-minute delay traveling towards Bedfordview. N3 southbound between the Butlu Interchange and Van Buren. Sandton, traffic sluggish traveling towards Midrand. M1 northbound between Athol Oaklands and Marlborough Drive, while in Sunninghill we still have those roadworks causing some delays. This is approaching the intersection of Rivonia Road and Witkoppen, driving through the Joburg CBD heading towards Boysen. Slow moving traffic. This is on the M1 southbound from Killarney Bend to the Crown Interchange. In the city of Tshwane, bumper-to-bumper traffic in Centurion heading towards Midrand. That's the N1 southbound between Boerta Avenue and the Brakfontein Interchange due to an accident scene. And there's also slow-moving traffic in Doornpoort, north of Pretoria. Expect about a 20-minute delay on the N4 westbound between the N1 and Bravery Road. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This winter, the price to refill your gas heater may have gone up along with everything else, but switch to Outsurance and you could actually drop your car insurance premium. You could save big, like 58-year-old Loretta, who saves a whopping 479 Rand a month on her 2017 BMW 320. Don't pay more than you need to. Get a quote to switch and save with Outsurance today. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
The Public Investment Corporation has suspended its chief executive, Patrick Dlamini, as it investigates allegations of impropriety.
The PIC board says Patrick Dlamini has been placed on precautionary suspension to allow a fair, objective and independent investigation into the allegations in line with its whistleblower policy. The suspension will allow Dlamini space to respond to the allegations. It says interim arrangements for an acting chief executive are currently being finalized. Meanwhile, Leo Schmidt has been appointed as acting chief investment officer.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Ready to redefine what's possible in your career? Join Wits Business School's virtual open day on Thursday, 16 July at 5:30 p.m. Discover postgraduate diplomas, master's degrees, and executive education programs that will challenge your thinking, unlock new opportunities, and prepare you to lead with confidence. Register today at wbs.ac.za. Wits Business School, sculpting global leaders.
Peregrine Capital presents Brian Habana's Count to 100.
In my journey to 100, it started with my first cap, then my second, 10th, 50th, 90th, 99th.
Brian Habana, his 100th international test.
You get to 100 one decision at a time. For 28 years, Peregrine Capital has applied that same discipline to turn 1 million rand into 100 million. Peregrine Capital. Invest in performance. An authorized FSP. Past performance non-indicative of future performance. T's and C's apply.
This Tuesday, July 14, you could win an estimated 29 million Rand total Powerball jackpot. That's a mega 18 million for Powerball and 11 million for Powerball Extra. Catch the live draw this Tuesday at 9 p.m. on ETV and SABC. You could become SA's next multi-millionaire. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions.
Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakaya.
Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 have been looking for small businesses that turned real challenges into powerful solutions. One business will be walking away with 200,000 Rand in cash, complemented by strategic business support, mentorship and growth tools. Catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa on 17 July from 6 a.m. when we'll announce the winner of Nedbank Business Ignite on 702. T's and C's apply. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Okay, so the people are. I asked you to guess what that anthem was, and a few of you have got it right. There was one person who picked up on the clue. Bobby, you said West German anthem. Yeah, indeed not an anthem you would hear before after Germany united, but no, that wasn't it at all. And Mo comes in and says, USSR, best anthem, Comrade John. Well, don't thank Comrade John. It was Rob who actually sent us that suggestion. It is a beautiful piece of music, I think. And Marie also got it right and said it is the national anthem of the Soviet Union. 19 minutes past 5.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Right, let's focus our attention now on a really, really important court case tomorrow. As I mentioned earlier, it's in the Western Cape High Court. President Cyril Ramaphosa is trying to get Parliament's Section 1889 impeachment proceedings suspended. That's pending another court matter, and that is the review of the original Section 89 independent panel reports. And that, of course, was preceded by a constitutional court ruling that Parliament had to go back and redo work that they believed had been improperly done. So it's complicated stuff. It has many different arms and legs, but let's focus on tomorrow. And welcome to 702 Drive, Dr. Shadi Makhanwe, who is a lecturer in constitutional law governance and legislative oversight at Wits University. Dr. Makhanwe, thanks very much for giving us your time. What does the president have to prove to the court tomorrow? In essence, presumably he's the one who wants the interdict. He will have to make the running, I would assume.
Yes. Hi, John, and thanks for having me. So what the president needs to prove tomorrow is basically in precedent, right? So if you look at Setlogela versus Setlogela, it laid that foundation. It established a test which was later reaffirmed in National Treasury versus Outer, which basically means he needs to prove four things. The first one is that he has a prima facie right, meaning that he has that his review application has a reasonable legal basis. Secondly, that he will suffer irreparable harm if Parliament continues with the Section 89 process before the review is heard. Thirdly, the balance of convenience must favor the grant of the interdict. And then finally, he must show that there's no adequate alternative remedy available for him. If he's able to convince or persuade the court that all of these four elements exist, then his application to pause the work or the process of Parliament will be successful.
Is it going to be very much around legal argument and precedent? I mean, you could argue that all court cases are about that, but in the build-up, for example, you know, the president has talked about his rights, his reputation, and so on. I mean, do you expect that that, for example, his counsel are going to very much argue it on points of law and not on points of fairness? Now, as you can gather, I'm not a lawyer at all, but I'm just trying to get a sense of what the tenor of the matter will be, because I think people will be listening not just to the law, but actually what gets said in the wider context.
Exactly. So we can't use any other point or any other justification when it comes to this court process. His legal counsel will only have to rely on the law in order to persuade the court. If you look at the case that I just mentioned, National Treasury versus Outer, it made it clear, it emphasized that courts should only intervene in exceptional circumstances, which basically means courts have the authority to intervene when it comes to processes that relate to the other two branches of government, which is the executive and the legislature. However, it must only be in exceptional circumstances. So the president would have to prove that this is one of those exceptional cases. And in order to prove that, he would have to rely only on the law, not his reputation, not his standing as the head of state. That is why I mentioned the four requirements that he would have to use to persuade the court to say, this is an exceptional circumstance, and therefore my constitutional rights will be infringed upon if I don't get that interim interdict.
I'm interested to get your take, Dr. Makhanwe, on what the respondents are going to say. In the Court of Public Opinion, they've made points about how important it is for South Africa's democracy, for the integrity and authenticity of our constitution and the democratic process, that this interdict is not granted. Will that be what they argue? or are they likely to bring in other elements and maybe go toe-to-toe on the points of law?
So the opposition would also have to rely on points of law to oppose, or the court won't hear the opposition in that sense because they wouldn't be coming in with legal facts. So instead of using the court of public opinion, the opposition is going to use points of law to basically rebut anything that the president is going to use to argue that interdict. So what the opposition will probably argue is that he won't be prejudiced and he won't. The process will be fair. So that is basically what the opposition is going to argue. And I think another thing that the opposition is going to argue is that this is a constitutional court order, right? And I think it's very important to note that the Constitutional Court made an order according or in terms of the rules of Parliament, not on the merits of that review report. So what the president is arguing is that if the impeachment process continues, it's going to infringe on his constitutional rights because the foundation of the impeachment process is based on a report that he's trying to review. So what the opposition is going to argue now is that the process is going to be fair and he won't be prejudiced. So if they're able to convince the court that there won't be prejudice to the president, then they will also succeed in that sense.
Let's sort of go wider on this, and let me ask you this, Dr. Makhanwe, because whenever matters come into whichever level of our court system it is, around issues of the constitution, constitutionality, constitutional rights, and so on, no rights in the Constitution, as I understand it, are absolute, and courts have to pronounce, this is certainly my impression, on the competition between rights. Is this an example of that?
So our Constitution gives us a right to administrative action, right, or a right to fair or just administrative action. So those are the rights that the president is using. And in order for a court to limit your constitutional rights, it would basically use it would weigh whether your rights, if your rights are infringed, will the limitation basically be fair? So in this instance, the president exercising his constitutional right is not necessarily infringing on anybody else's rights, right? So what the opposition will argue is that accountability must take place because it's one of the founding values of the Constitution. However, the reason why the president is able to continue with all of these processes is because he was able to convince the court that my constitutional rights are going to be infringed upon. However, no one will be prejudiced if the process continues. So he's already been successful in that sense. So in order for someone's rights to be limited, it would basically mean that if their rights are not limited, it's going to prejudice the rest of us. Yes.
And just finally, I mean, I've been describing this as a very, very important court case. I say that in the light of the much larger issue at stake around Phala Phala, and we don't need to go into that. But the significance of tomorrow, I mean, if the president wins, if Parliament wins, what are the reverberations from either outcome?
So if the president is successful, remember what he's applying for is an interim interdict.
Right.
So it's not a final interdict. The decision is not final. So if it's an interim decision, what it basically means is the oppositions can appeal that decision, and it can be appealed all the way to the Constitutional Court. So what we are seeing here could probably be years and years of litigation. So if the president succeeds, obviously he won't want to appeal, but the opposition will definitely appeal. However, if the president is not successful, he can take it to the next higher court because what he's starting with is the high court, and we have a hierarchy of courts. So he can appeal, go to the Supreme Court, and end up in the Constitutional Court to convince the Constitutional Court to say that I need that interdict.
Wow, interesting. Thank you so much, Dr. Shadi Makhanwe, joining us from WITS. She is a lecturer in constitutional law, governance, and legislative oversight. Crucial court case tomorrow. EWN will be all over it and updating you throughout the course of the day. 28 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Right, let's get the very latest news from the markets and a look ahead to the Money Show tonight. Stephen Curtis has just stepped in.
John, good afternoon to you. So oil prices slipping slightly in the last hour, but still way above $80 a barrel. That said, we're seeing that gold and platinum prices, in particular platinum, having a very strong day. That's pushed resources up, and that's really helped us. So the ore share up 0.5%, 110,573. Financials up 0.23%. Industrials flat. And resources up 1.57% on the day, really as a result of those much higher platinum prices. So we see Valterra, Implats, Northam all up by around 3.5%. Northam also saying today that they'd produced 17% more chrome concentrate because of a big jump at the Eland mine. BHP up 3.38%. Glencore, bear in mind they're also in the coal business, they're up over 3%. Exxaro up 2% as well, and then the gold mine is doing quite nicely as well. Italtal down 3%. We'll speak to ITAC on the Money Show, John. The International Trade Administration Commission saying yesterday, or on Friday actually, it was gazetted, they've basically approved massive anti-dumping tariffs against tiles imported from Zimbabwe and Mozambique. We'll talk about that. And frozen veggies with ITAC. You can't talk about tiles if you don't talk about frozen veggies, John, as you know. Optasia down nearly 3%. And then some of the consumer shares. Canal Plus down 2%. Pick and Pay down nearly 2%. We Buy Cars, Aspen, Telkom all down by around 1.5%. The Foschini Group and Motors and Pepkor all down by way over 1% as well. I'm sure there's a sort of higher oil prices story in there somewhere. The Transport Minister confirming the current Transnet board. They'll stay in office for another 6 months or until she decides to appoint a new board. Don't know about you, but I'm not available. In the US, we've seen that stocks are up mainly because inflation figures were lower than expected, lowering the chance of inflation hike, of an interest rate hike rather. The Dow Jones is up 0.11%. The Nasdaq is up 0.8%. The S&P 500 is up 0.34%. The gold price up significantly, John. $4,095.08 an ounce. Platinum $1,658.07, and then Brent crude just under $84 a barrel, 83.98. The rand to the dollar 16.34, to the euro 18.70, to the British pound 21.89. John, quite tricky on the Money Show to get proper comment from the Public Investment Corporation about the suspension of the CEO, Patrick Lamini. However,
Yes.
their main constituency, as you know, is the Government Employee Pension Fund. The chair is Frans Peleni, and he's agreed to talk to us tonight. And I think that's going to be a very important conversation, so I'd stick around for that. We'll talk trade. We'll speak to Novo Nordisk about the weight loss drugs battle with Edexis. Edexis also confirming today that they'll appeal, so we'll hear from them as well this evening. So it's going to be quite a busy Money Show. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. That Frans Peleni interview, I suspect, crucial stuff coming out of that. Don't miss it. 28 minutes now to 6, the very latest Eyewitness News once again with Mbali Dlamini. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The state has accused convicted Czech fugitive Radovan Krejča of being responsible for the delays he is complaining about in his long-running criminal case. Krejča brought an application to court asking it to strike his matter from the roll. He argues that delays since 2016 have prejudiced his right to a fair trial. Krejča is currently serving a 35-year sentence at the Hoshimamburu prison for murder and attempted murder. Dimakatso Leshoro has more.
After delays at the start of proceedings, the court directed Krejča to take the witness stand to support his Section 342A application under the Criminal Procedure Act, which empowers a court to address unreasonable delays in criminal matters. Krejča produced a bag filled with medical records, which he claims show he's medically unfit to stand trial. He told the court he requires surgery, needs access to a neurologist, and remains in poor health. Krejča further claimed he has been severely prejudiced because the Department of Correctional Services has failed to comply with court orders directing that he be provided with, among other things, an orthopedic mattress. He argues that these alleged failures have left him unfit to stand trial and have directly contributed to the delays he's now asking the court to remedy. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News at the Palm Ridge Court.
The City of Cape Town says it aims to alleviate traffic congestion in and around the CBD by reconstructing the unfinished foreshore freeway bridges that have stood incomplete for decades now. Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis says the city is making progress behind the scenes on the long-awaited project and plans to publish initial proposals for public comment in September. But the Township Development Council has questioned the plans, saying the money could be better spent on service delivery. Carlo Peterson has more.
After more than 50 years, plans are underway to reconstruct 2 unfinished bridges in Cape Town CBD. Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis says its plans will go out for public comment in 2 months' time.
The unfinished bridges that we all grew up with as Cape Townians, we are planning to actually get them finished over the years ahead. Later this year, in around September, we will release for public comment some initial designs.
But Township Development Council Chairperson Ndodana Debe says the project may not be the best way for the city to spend money.
Many communities are facing serious challenges, including unemployment, housing shortages, safety concerns, and lack of basic services.
The mayor says funding for the project will likely be sourced from the private sector. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And in Germany, a 32% spike in deaths was recorded during a record heatwave in June when compared to levels in the previous 4 years. According to the latest data, around 23,900 people died between June 22nd and June 28th across that country. Sweltering weather swept across Western Europe last month, with temperatures in parts of Germany topping 41 degrees Celsius. Last week, the EU's climate monitor said Western Europe experienced its hottest June on record last month. In your weather, a fine Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 3 and 6 degrees and highs of between 21 and 23.
Kempton Park traffic remains heavily backed up on the R21 northbound between the R24 Edenvale Road off-ramp and Atlas Road due to an earlier accident, while in Marlborough, expect about a 30-minute delay on the N3 southbound between the Baclue Interchange and Van Buren.
The top story in EWN, the state has accused convicted Czech fugitive Radovan Krecha of being responsible for the delays he is complaining about in his long-running criminal case.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The controversies surrounding John Steenhuisen and Tony Leon. What's your comment on this, shall we call it, state capture style of lobbying within the government of national unity?
The one thing that has been conspicuously and glaringly absent from all of this chatter is a single indication of any wrongdoing. There's just lots of insinuation and lots of rumor and mudslinging.
Whether you and I can agree or not, the perception about the Democratic Alliance has been damaged.
Well, I think that's maybe your view, but I think that Democratic Alliance is the party of integrity in government.
Have you spoken to John since his interviews and since the statements he's made?
You know, I said to him, I think he's probably done himself a lot of harm, and I'm not sure that it was the wisest thing to do.
Is he a dead man walking?
No, I don't think so.
Jordan Hill-Lewis.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
As we gear up for the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk hosted by the City of Joburg on Sunday 26 July, we're inviting you to help us make a difference this winter. 702 Weekend Breakfast with Gugsum Hlungu together with MES Homeless Shelter is running a clothing drive, and we'd love you to be a part of it. If you have pre-loved clothing, warm jackets, jerseys, blankets, toiletries or any non-perishable food items, please donate them. Drop your items off at our 702 studios at 15 Fredman Drive in Sandton. And together we can bring warmth and dignity to those who need it most. Every single item makes a difference. MES is a registered not-for-profit company that has been changing the hearts of the inner cities of Johannesburg, Cape Town, Gqeberha and Kempton Park since 1986. 702, let's walk the talk.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
De Beers says they're suspending production at Benicia to reduce costs. How do you read this decision?
De Beers is not reading the market very well, just like its parent company Anglo American didn't read the market in gold very well. The fact is that diamonds are no longer a scarce commodity because De Beers no longer has a monopoly in the supply of rough diamonds globally, given that the Chinese are manufacturing diamonds now on a large scale.
David van Wyk, the benchmark mining analyst.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Rewards. Get double cash back depending on your rewards tier when an African team scores and wins at the FIFA World Cup 2026, courtesy of Visa. Use your Absa Visa card at rewards partners on match days to score. Join Absa Rewards on the banking app. Your story matters. Absa is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
This Tuesday, July 14, you could win an estimated 29 million rand total Powerball jackpot. That's a mega 18 million for Powerball and 11 million for Powerball Extra. Catch the live draw this Tuesday at 9 p.m. on ETV and SABC. You could become SA's next multi-millionaire. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions.
Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakaya.
Joburg, it's time to show up for our city. On Sunday, 26 July, join thousands of Joburgers and others for the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank. Walk through the heart of Johannesburg, celebrate its rich history, and experience the exciting growth taking place in the CBD. As a committed partner invested in the future of our city, Standard Bank invites you to be a part of a movement helping to build a stronger, safer and more vibrant Jozi for generations to come. Register today and take part in the walk that brings Johannesburg together. The 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank.
702. WhatsApp John
On 072
702
1702.
Hey John, Sue again. Yeah, my favorite, fondest memories of Ellis Park. We were fortunate enough to have a little shop up there where we used to sell boerewors rolls and prego steak rolls and what we used to call Max Munches, which was like a health roll with salami, lettuce, cheese, tomato, gherkins, the whole shebang. And we had that shop during the World Cup. And we had a little speaker or a little hi-fi, especially for all the rock concerts, Rolling Stones, Phil Collins, oh man, Midnight Oil. Yeah, we worked there for about 5-6 years until it was all sort of given over to one food company. But yeah, we used to have many, many jewels. Rolling Stones concert was obviously the best. A whole chip rack when they sang Can't Get No Satisfaction. The whole stadium literally was rocking, and also managed to see a little bit of the first game when South Africa was allowed back into the rugby, and that was in the 1990s somewhere. So yeah, fond memories, and obviously going to the Troyville Hotel afterwards to just finish off the evening. Great memories.
Hi, John and 702 Lenders. Look, man, my favorite moment for Ellis Park was in 1995 when Joel Stransky struck that penalty, that sealed our first rugby world championship in the World Cup. I was a student at Tekis at that time. I struggled to actually even reach Ellis Park, but wow, the atmosphere afterwards was so awesome. And needless to say, Springboks have gone on to win 2 more. But yeah, that memory still lives on with me. It's really in Krugersdorp.
Yeah, fantastic stories from all of you. Thank you. And Sue working right in the heart. I'm assuming your chip rack fell over, but who cares? Because, everybody was getting some satisfaction, even if the Rolling Stones were saying that we probably wouldn't. Yeah, great stories. Thank you. But of all of them, we had to choose somebody for today's winner. Let's play you one more time the voice note that we thought just got over the line in the gold medal place.
Yeah, my greatest Ellis Park memory must be when the Lions was in the semi-final playing against Western Province at the time. And Gavin Magic Johnson, if you can remember him, played fullback for the Lions. And he scored in the last minute. He scored the winning try to see the Lions go through to the final. And they ended up winning the Currie Cup that year. If you can remember, they're a bit of a magic team. And my favorite memory is the fact that a photographer took a photo of me carrying off Magic Johnson. And the next morning, my father phoned me early in the morning to say he's opened the report. You in the front page carrying off Gavin Johnson. That's my memory. I've got a photo of it framed, and that's my Magic memory. Thank you very much.
Yeah, fabulous. So Diedrich, who sent us that from Bedfordview, is on the line to us. Diedrich, fabulous story. Thank you for sharing it with us. And of course, we're going to welcome you to our VIP suite in the 702 Drive, the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Hopefully you're able to join us on the 26th, and let's make some more Ellis Park memories. But I want to ask you, I mean, you were you sitting close to the field? Or did you make your way down with a view of just getting on there, grabbing the man of the match and carrying him off?
Man, John, firstly, thank you very much. Nice competition. And this morning, actually, I was thinking I want to enter my wife and my daughter into the 702 Walk the Talk. And I was kind of in two minds.
Yes.
But now I definitely have a reason. But back then in the late 80s, early 90s, if you can remember, they allowed the crowd to go onto the field straight after the game.
Right.
So I kind of ran towards Magic Johnson, Gavin Johnson, and found him, and then just the last minute decided let me pick him up. Not the lightest guy. He's a tall figure. Picked him up, took him all the way into the tunnel, and somewhere along that walk, one of the report photographers took the nicest photo, which I still have to this day, and that's my fondest memory. Lots of others, as you say. The 1995 World Cup must be the best for all of us, especially that famous Joel Stransky kick. But yeah, that's my Ellis Park memory. And
that's
I also
fabulous.
did the Nando's 10-kilometer walk there from Ellis Park, and I can tell the guys that's still thinking, really the security in and around Ellis Park and what the organizers did, if it's anything like that, it will be a really fantastic day for everyone.
Well, Diedrich, all I can say, and I'm thinking now of the long-term health of your back. I'm just glad the man of the match wasn't maybe Hannes Strydom or someone a lot bigger. At least you got somebody manageable. Diedrich, thank you for a wonderful story, and we will see you in our VIP area at the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to meeting you in person. We're going to do exactly the same thing tomorrow. So listen up. Start getting your Ellis Park memory ready. It's 14 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele World Cup semi-finals tonight and a World Cup final for our under-20 Boks. Hey, they played brilliant stuff against England. Over to you for the sport.
Thanks so much, John. And a spot in the FIFA World Cup final is the reward for tonight's winner of the clash between France and Spain. Les Bleus go into the encounter unbeaten and looking to reach a third consecutive final, while La Roja have conceded just one goal in their 6 games. Their 2010 World Cup winning midfielder Xabi Alonso has now backed them to go on and win just their second global title.
It brings me a lot of memories from the time that the World Cup that we won. Because of the team, because of the energy that they transmit, because of the control they have on the games. We have many reasons to be optimistic. For sure, whatever will happen with France, it's gonna be a fantastic game to watch. So really looking forward to it.
Former New Zealand captain Scott Barrett has been ruled out of the tour of South Africa, having failed to regain match fitness after undergoing back surgery. For the Springboks, they're up against Wales on Saturday in the Nations Championship, looking to keep their winning run going after back-to-back wins over England and Scotland. Coach Rassie Erasmus has discussed if there was ever a temptation to rest Peter Steph du Toit with the rugby's greatest rivalry series on the horizon.
Dave Rennie, I've coached against him when I coached Munster. He was coaching Glasgow. He's a coach that can get fire into players. He makes it physical. They make the breakdown tremendously hard to keep your ball. And they're playing a fast, high-paced game, which I think suits New Zealand really well. Now it's going to be as tough as it gets. And playing 4 matches against them, we're all excited about that.
France will face South Africa in the Junior World Championship final after they ended the title hopes of New Zealand and England respectively. It'll be the first time these sides meet at under-20 final level, with South Africa bidding to defend their crown and France seeking a 4th title. Kevin Foot's side turned it around in the second half to defeat England 53-37 in a match that saw 2 red cards handed out.
They did pretty well there against New Zealand. They scored and they hung in there right to the end. So again, it shows their spirits, and they won the 6 Nations. So they're going to be up for this. So we'll recover now. We'll enjoy the week together. Last week as a group together, then looking forward to Saturday.
And Louis Oosthuizen has withdrawn from the Open Championship due to a back injury that has also ruled him out of the Live Golf United Kingdom event, which begins on the 23rd of July. Aldrich Potgieter will replace Oosthuizen as the first alternate. That's for the 154th Open, which gets underway on Thursday at Royal Birkdale Golf Club. Tola Gelimganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Right, at 12 minutes to 6, it's getting busy. It is already busy. Karabo Charlie is your guide.
Yes, John, Kempton Park, heavy delays if you're heading towards OR Tambo International Airport. That's leaving the Germiston, Bedfordview area. We have that accident scene on the R21 northbound near Atlas Road. And this is causing about an hour delay all the way from the R24 Edenvale off-ramp. In Marlborough, also expect about a 30-minute delay. This is on the N3 southbound between the Patlu interchange and Van Buren. In Sandton, traffic sluggish M1 northbound from Ethel Oaklands to Marlborough Drive. Sunninghill, roadwork still causing some delays. This is approaching the intersection of Rivonia Road and Witkoppen. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Okay, so our music theme for today is national anthems, prompted by the many we've heard, 48 in all at the World Cup, and we asked you to choose your national, not our national anthem, but the national anthem apart from ours that you particularly like for whatever. It's energy, it's music, it's tune, and we've got some great contributions from you. Let's listen to one.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, 702. I think the best national song I've ever heard and I'd like to hear again, Ya Mexico. Ya Mexico.
Mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero a prestar y el bidón. Y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Si yo patria tú eres de oliva, de la paz el arcángel divino, que en el cielo tu eterno destino por el dedo de Dios escribió.
The national anthem of Mexico. It's known also as Mexicans at the Cry of War. Written, the lyrics were composed in 1853. They actually had a national contest to decide which ones the country would adopt. More of your anthems, the anthems that you like, in a moment on 702 Drive.
Mexicanos al grito de guerra.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Kabelo, when I read this Daily Maverick piece, I did see that you indicated to them that by the time you posed these questions, you had been a member of Parliament's Justice Committee. Was there a discrepancy there, or did you unintentionally not tell the truth?
No, I don't think it's a discrepancy. So, as I say, I started it as a member of the Justice Committee. I was, in fact, given permission if I wanted to run with it, but I decided to focus on my portfolio. So, yeah, beyond the duration of my stay on justice, I did continue for a while.
Kabelo Kobisa Ngaba is the Member of Parliament for the Democratic Alliance.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Vandalism and theft of water infrastructure affects everyone. Damage to pipes, meters, valves, reservoirs, and other critical infrastructure can result in water outages, low pressure, sewer spillages, and costly repairs that impact communities across Johannesburg. Johannesburg Water urges residents to help protect public infrastructure by reporting suspicious activity affecting the water network. To report incidents or water-related faults, call Johannesburg Water on 010 061 4470. That's on 010 061 4470. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials.
It's the flavor!
Real reviews by real people. Nico from Kailami is in touch with his emotions. So when we asked about the Nando's Peri Peri half chicken and a single side for only $1.25, he said,
I'm sad. I finished it.
Ah, Nikos, ungawari. Because this chicken season has more episodes. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
Incredible Mazda moments of wonder await around every scenic twist and turn at 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Walk the Talk. Because on Sunday, 26th July, you get to discover 5 Mazda wonder experiences on the 8-kilometer route from a stunning Japanese garden to a world of color. Visit one and share your wonder moments on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Then tag and follow at Mazda SA using hashtag Mazda SA, and you could win your share of 50,000 Rand thanks to Mazda, where wonder awaits. Official vehicle partner of 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. T's and C's apply.
You know when your people are giving their best, not because they're pushed or pressured, but because they feel supported. And support is making sure they're covered. So if something happens, they can get the care they need. FlexiCare Health Insurance makes it simple for every business to protect their people with affordable health cover. You care. We cover. For a tailored FlexiCare quote, speak to your financial advisor today. FlexiCare is not a medical scheme and the cover is not the same. FlexiCare is underwritten by Auto & General, a licensed non-life insurer and FSP, and administered by Discovery Health, an authorized FSP.
702. WhatsApp John
On 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. The New Zealand national anthem is a big favorite because they sing in more than one language like ours. So I'm quite fond of it. And the ones we hear particularly because of Formula One, because if it's not the constructors' nation song coming, it's the driver's song. So the British, German, those two in particular, and the American anthem, I guess out of familiarity, those are the ones I'm quite familiar with. But my favorite outside our own is the New Zealand one.
Hey, hoa, atua, ona iwi matua, ata whakarongona, me aroha noa, kia hua ko te pai, kia utoto
Yeah, 5 verses, and both in English and in the Maori language. God Defend New Zealand. It's in the very first incarnation of this. It was written as a poem in the 1870s, and again, it was in response to a competition. The prize was 10 guineas, and it was held by a local newspaper. Wonderful stuff, tracing the history of all these different anthems. So many to choose from. Mr. G particularly likes, and it was mentioned earlier by Gaugelo as one of his sort of second and third favorites, but particularly likes the national anthem of Germany.
Einigkeit und Recht und Freiheit für das deutsche Vaterland. Danach lasst uns alle streben, brüderlich mit Herz und Hand. Einigkeit und Recht und Freiheit.
Originally, as I understand it, a popular song and adopted as the German national anthem in 1922. National anthems, we're talking about it because of all of the different anthems we've heard, some I'd never heard before, and something I've particularly enjoyed during this World Cup.
Hi, Uncle John and the team. The national anthem that I would like to hear it again
It's the Portuguese national anthem. Thank you, Uncle John. Ivai.
Heróis do mar, nobre povo, nação valente e imortal. Levantei hoje de novo o esplendor de Portugal. Entre as brumas da memória, ó pátria, sente-se a voz dos teus igrejas avós, que há de guiar-te à vitória.
Our Portuguesa, the Portuguese national anthem, composed in the context of a nationalist movement in the 1890s. Warren says there's a great series on the Rest is History podcast about national anthems. Their stuff is really excellent, and apparently they do something on our national anthem as well. One more from Nancy. Nancy requesting the national anthem of Zimbabwe, not heard at the World Cup, of course, but often heard just beyond our borders. 702 Drive, this has been a show we've really enjoyed. Lots of music, lots of great calls, lots of Ellis Park memories. We'll do that again tomorrow. I'm John Perlman. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Rewards. Get double cash back when an African team scores and wins at the FIFA World Cup 2026, courtesy of Visa. T's and C's apply. Good evening. On your Money Show tonight, the chair of the Government Employee Pension Fund, Frans Peleni, will give you his view of the latest suspensions